What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 980 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here with my guest co-host for the day. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. I am Alex Ayala. I am an editor and producer here at Timcast, and it's great to be in the studio today.
How you been?
Good. How about you?
You know what? I've actually got people in the studio today.
Yes.
Chatting. It's there's good vibes today.
Good vibes, good laughs. We're having fun.
And we also have somebody else with us today. Guess introduce yourself, please.
What's up, guys? My name is Brandon. I am also a producer slash skateboarder slash random
Person
of interest here at Timcast as well. Great to be back. Thank you for having me, Brett.
Were you on like episode 900?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yes, I was on 900, I believe.
And I think I was like, yeah, you want to jump on like last week, but you weren't feeling well?
Yeah, I actually just had that weird flu thing that like everybody got. A bunch of us got it here like last week.
Luckily, I was because everybody's out of town,
yeah.
And I was not, so I avoided the sickness from everything.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it.
No.
I can tell you that you don't want it.
It's part of that January blues, isn't it?
Okay, so we had a discussion yesterday, and the chat will know what I'm talking about here. I posed the question. I said, "What is the worst month of the year? Is it December or is it January or is it February?" What's your answer?
I kind of hate February. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm with Brandon. I'm going with February.
My answer was February as well. So my answer was actually location specific. So when I lived in Minnesota and winter was just awful all winter long, it was snow from late November till sometimes even April, I actually felt like February was better. Like it was like at least the weather was starting to get a little bit warmer. Out here it feels like you don't get any snow until February, and then it's really bad.
Yeah, so
and we don't get a lot of snow here.
Chicago is very similar, but like we would enter this kind of like polar vortex phase.
Yeah.
January going into February, and that's where the deep freeze would happen.
Yeah.
And you weren't likely to thaw out until like April.
Look, January, February, March all kind of suck all together equally for like different reasons, but February is the shortest month of the year, and yet it somehow feels the longest.
That's true.
I'm not a fan. And it's still it's only really a problem out here weather-wise. Like the cold doesn't really bother me. Like other than like I asked for gloves for Christmas so that like when I start my car in the morning, I'm not, or have to get the ice off the windows. It's fine. But
you gotta
it's
get
like
the steering wheel warmer, dude.
Yeah. Well, so
it when I auto start my truck, it throws on the seat warmer, the steering wheel warmer, and the defog for like everything.
Oh, we're
and
fancy.
It's so perfect after 6 minutes.
My wife's car has that, and some days I'm just like, I think I'm gonna take your car.
I'm taking your car.
Honestly,
stuff of kings and queens.
I have to say, I just wish there was snow. I would like. I want a snowstorm. Bring it on.
Honestly, we have had the first thing I asked to I forget who the hell I asked here, but I was like, is this how mild winters actually are? And they're like, no, it's really like we're kind of getting lucky. It's usually like colder by now. I'm like, dude, this is like I've been out in like a hoodie every day for the last like 3 months. It hasn't like it's gotten that cold one time.
I know today's pretty bitter out there.
And it was when I left town, I went to Phoenix or Vegas that it got super cold, and I was like still in 60-degree weather, so I completely missed whatever vortex you guys got.
One day to like reacclimate. So if you're if you're used to the 70s and the 80s, and then you finally get down to 50, that first day kind of sucks, and then you immediately reacclimate.
I feel like it takes me maybe like a week.
Yeah.
After like a week, I'm like seasoned to the cold, and I could go out and grill a steak in like negative 10 degrees and a foot of snow.
Have you lived anywhere where it's like in California where the weather is always kind of the same?
No.
Okay. Well.
No, if he's from Minnesota, I'm pretty sure we've both been tortured most of our lives.
The first thing I noticed when I moved out here was how mild the winters were, like temperature-wise. But the thing I pointed out yesterday is like it's actually worse to drive out here in the winter when they get snow because the Midwest has such strong infrastructure around their plowing.
Well, everything is flat there too.
Yes, exactly. So here, I was telling the story yesterday. I had to go up on the mountain once because the bridges were closed, and I had to come down the mountain in a snowstorm. And I was like, if this is how I die, this is it. This is it. Because and Mary pointed out yesterday, there's no guardrails on any of the ravines. It's just, you know what? You take your life in your own hands.
Yeah.
Yep. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, so perhaps you can let everyone know down in the chat. Maybe you weren't here yesterday. You can let everybody know what the worst month of the year is. I still think out here specifically, the answer is February, but we'll have to wait and see. We have a bunch of stuff to get into today. Before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Remember, Mary is live on the show Monday, Wednesday, Friday. She will be back tomorrow. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. Number one, of course, being more news is coming out about actor Timothy Busfield. It's a story that I've been covering for over a week now, and there is now a third set of allegations on top of the fact that his talent agency has dropped him. He has denied all claims and allegations, says he's completely innocent. We're going to get into this third round of accusations. We're going to talk about the talent agency that has dropped him, his response to all of this. We're also going to talk about Grok, because one thing that was going on 2 weeks ago, I think it was now, was there was a trend going around where people would post pictures and then somebody would say, Grok put this person in a bikini. Now that has been banned, and Grok and X are under investigation by different jurisdictions because they think that there has been illicit, explicit material involving children. Elon Musk has come out and said he's seen no evidence of this, but it's still put a ban on the AI edits of people. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about something we knew was true all along, which is that the Golden Globes happened. Nobody knows, nobody remembers, nobody cares, and the ratings have since fallen once again. So we've got that. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff. If you guys are ready, we can go. Are you ready, Alex?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Brandon?
Let's get it.
Let's go for it then. The number one thing that I brought up when this show started, if you are looking at the thumbnail for today's image, is they have released first look images at the upcoming Tomb Raider series from Amazon. If you were wondering about this series happening, you're not alone. People forgot that this was getting made. Back in 2024, people thought this project was dead in the water. It is, of course, being led by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is most famous for the show Fleabag. On top of that, she is known as the woman who was brought in to be the feminist retoucher of the writing for No Time to Die, claiming that they needed to make changes to the James Bond franchise. And that's really, and of course, being the worst character in one of the worst movies I've seen in the last 2 decades, which is Indiana Jones' Dial of Dysentery, which was one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. Not very few movies other than the Crow remake have made me as mad as that movie made me. So they've got this new series coming out, and this, if you were wondering, is what it looks like here. This is the first look image of Sophie Turner as Lara Croft, which, by the way, I still have trouble saying. I always want to say Laura, but it is Lara Croft. Costume-wise, looks perfectly accurate to me.
She looks great. She looks hot.
So what were your first thoughts? Because what I want to do is I want to get into a little bit of the info and then share with you guys the first thoughts from the internet, which is usually where things kind of fall apart.
Well, I didn't realize that the writer is a Fleabag writer, and that show is awful.
Oh, that's awesome. You actually watched it?
I think I watched the first episode, and like, there's no way in hell the show is good, but I know a lot of people do love that show, so I already know that this show is going to suck. I mean, Laura...
What was it you didn't like about it?
Probably because it's British, but...
Look, that's okay. Like I have the same thought about certain. So there are British shows that I love, like Luther. I thought Luther was fantastic, but Luther was more like an American show than your average. Like I actually do love the British crime dramas.
Yeah, no.
I watch a show called Rosemary in Time, which is like literally about these 2 women who are gardeners that solve crimes.
Okay.
Which is the most ridiculous concept
and
you've
I'm
ever
sure
heard.
it was humorless.
It's dry British humor. Okay,
and that's the worst kind.
Slowly plodding pace, but I have to be in the mood for something like that. You don't necessarily plug them in to go do Indiana Jones, especially after kind of not doing a whole lot of justice to James Bond. And let's face it, that Indiana Jones movie should have gotten her banned from Hollywood.
So, did you not like Daniel Craig as James Bond?
I like Daniel Craig as James Bond. I didn't like what she had to say when they brought her in. I didn't like the idea that they needed to bring in a feminist writer to update James Bond in the writer's room.
Yeah, I can agree with
I actually have her quote here. Just as an aside, this was her quote when talking about that. She tries to equivocate a bit towards the middle, but this was her comments when they brought her in to write James Bond. Says, there's been a lot of talk about whether or not the Bond franchise is relevant now because of who he is and the way he treats women. First of all, nobody in the real world actually believes that. Nobody in the real world believes that James Bond's treatment of women is why he might or might not be relevant.
I mean, the older movies were kind of rapey. I'm not gonna lie. Like the Pierce Brosnan era was pretty.
Wait. Which one's in the Pierce Brosnan era? We're gonna get off topic here for a second.
Oh, gosh.
You're gonna have to give me an example.
So what was
unless
the
one where she's dead? The one where the
it might have been GoldenEye.
There's
was GoldenEye the one that was like super cringe with like they just had like this whole hour of him like with the chick. And it was like, I might be wrong.
There's
okay, one of them, though. And I'm like, what the hell?
I will give you credit on one, which is in Tomorrow Never Dies, which is the one with Jonathan Pryce. His ex-flame, who is since killed, he finds her on a bed and definitely, like, kisses her on the neck and stuff after she's dead. I'm like,
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but there's one where he forces this chick to, like, make out with him, and then she kind of just goes with it, and then all of a sudden they're, like, together. And I'm like, is that how that works?
He put the spell on her.
Yeah, I don't know.
She says, I think that's Bullock's. I think he's absolutely relevant now. He's just got to grow. It's just got to evolve. And the important thing is that the film treats women properly. He doesn't have to. He needs to be true to his character. How does a story write women properly while claiming that the main character, the protagonist of the film, doesn't treat them well? Those seem like contradictions in terms to me.
Perhaps.
I also think that beyond this is her quote about Sophie Turner, who, if you don't know, she's probably best known from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Probably more than
for
anything.
being married to a Jonas brother.
And for
that I didn't know.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
That's like the biggest thing.
No.
And for the horrible shit mound that was Dark Phoenix.
Yes, she played Jean Grey, and for the X-Men movies that are less well liked than, say, the early
I've stated prior,
movies.
I didn't mind her as Jean Grey.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand why they did that movie, which was hot garbage, and then also claimed that was like the Dark Phoenix realization when really it kind of happened at the end of Apocalypse.
Yeah. So the other thing is here is, like, you're in a hit and miss world when it comes to video game adaptations. Amazon has one really big silver bullet under their belt, which is Fallout, which, season 1 was very, very well liked. I have not kept up with season 2, but the show in general was considered a very, very good adaptation of a video game turned into a television series. And we're kind of in an era now where that feels like the next path going forward for these studios is, like, the comic book movies have run their course. People have less interest in it than they had maybe 10, 15 years ago. But you have series like Fallout. You have The Last of Us, which, for all its faults and complaints that people have about it, did very, very well as far as the numbers, especially in season 1. I was a huge fan of the Peacock series Twisted Metal, even though I never played the Twisted Metal video game, and from all I know that there isn't any actual story that it needs to be based on.
There really isn't.
But Anthony Mackie was great in that series. And then you've got the less good examples like Halo, which I don't know anybody that actually liked. But Arcane was very, very popular.
I think the biggest thing that pissed people off about that was that he took off his helmet.
Yes, constantly.
And it was like Master Chief would never do that.
But beyond that, there's one big thing that Amazon has working against it, is that when it comes to adaptations, they are the studio that brought you Rings of Power, which any fan of Lord of the Rings will tell you is one of the worst things they've ever seen. And even somebody like I, who is only really saw the movies and never read the Tolkien books, that show was one of the worst things I've ever seen because of how slow and plotting it was. And in general, this series was supposed to be made several years ago, and the longer it takes to get something out tends to signal studio problems, that it takes that long to get off the ground.
Totally.
There was a lot of comments to be made about this. I'm going to pull them up and see what the internet had to say about it. So first things first, this one was from Anna, that Star Wars girl. She says, firstly, Lara isn't a ginger. Secondly, she's not an A-cup either. This looks like cosplay.
I think she is a ginger, isn't she?
No.
She's not? That's not natural?
So we're going to keep going here. She says, she also brought up this. This is exclusive for the first time. These were stills of Sofia Vergara in 2003's Monster Chase Visa commercial where she appears as Lara Croft. And Anna says, now that's more like it. Sad when commercials are more respectful of the source material than big Hollywood productions. They have these pictures here of Sofia Vergara as as Lara Croft. I love that room there. That's actually really, really sweet. Then we've got this one from Grum, says, oh no. Yeah, that's not the best. Critical Drinker says, I'm not seeing any Lara here.
Okay.
Master of the TDS says, someone said she looks like Sarah Connor. Now I can't unsee it.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Definitely Sarah Connor. Terminator?
Terminator?
Okay, yeah.
Terminator 2, at least, like Sarah Connor. The Flash says, she looks good. Sadly, I have zero interest in watching anything by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I hope it's good for the fans, though. Raw Egg Nationalist says, we had Rona Mitra, and now we have whatever this is. Appalling. A travesty.
So
and this was my favorite. This is from Razor Fist. Says, Relic Hunter. It's a Spirit Halloween costume. It says, Relic Hunter. Includes shirt, skorts, water pistols, Tim Burton glasses.
So what is really missing then here? Is it just her figure?
Yeah, that seems to be the... Okay. I think the main complaint is that, but I think the main complaint is also that there's no interest for this now from Amazon, that it kind of got poisoned at the well. And you said earlier you were actually a fan of the Alicia Vikander version of this.
Yeah.
Would you have rather they had gone and just done another one of those?
Probably. I mean, I feel like it's too early to say how this is going to go. I mean, I know we're all kind of...
in that movie.
Yeah. I know right off the bat what we're all kind of expecting from this, though. I'm not sure about her as, from what I've seen as an actress, being able to handle like an action role like that and actually make it look good.
Yeah. I'm looking at side by side right now, Angelina Jolie and Sophie Turner, and there's really not that much difference.
Well, there's two big differences.
At least her tits.
I think my thumbnail for this
by like a cup.
I think the thumbnail that I wrote for this for this segment, it says Tomb Raider gets a cup of backlash. Whenever I make a thumbnail like that, I do in fact pat myself on the back. And Sophie Turner, like in general, her credits, if you look at her credits, I think most people think of her as Sansa Stark. But in general, you kind of look for it to be more of, what do you want? Do you want somebody who has like a strong profile or a strong back catalog of action movies? Or do you want somebody that you feel can embody the character in the quieter moments? But I feel like for most people, they would rather see somebody who's action heavy. And it's very hard to recapture the magic of anything Angelina Jolie does, because Angelina Jolie is a generational talent.
And she also has charisma.
No, that's, I was going to say, maybe not even acting talent as far as generational charisma.
Right.
When she did, and I've mentioned this on the show plenty of times, when we went and saw The Eternals, I was like, that was the most boring movie I've ever seen, and everybody got dog walked by Angelina Jolie, who barely did anything and still had 10,000 times more screen presence than anybody in this movie.
Yeah.
And that movie had a lot of people who they claimed were going to be big stars, like Gemma Chan or Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah, the other guy from Game of Thrones. I'm missing his name
Richard
right now.
Madden.
He's not Kit Harington.
He was in it, but also Richard Madden was in it as like one of the other guys. And Angelina Jolie had 10 times more screen presence. And I don't know if there is an actress right now that embodies that same level of screen presence that Angelina Jolie had in 2001.
Let me just say, Angelina Jolie still looks freaking fabulous. Just bring her back.
They do like,
because why not?
If we can have old man Logan, then we can have old woman Lara Croft, and we'd get yelled at if we called it that.
Well, we'd get closure that way too.
Though.
I mean, you have these. We're in this age of the last couple decades where everything is constantly being remade from phase one and trying to be put out differently so they can have another trilogy. And we've seen it work and we've seen it really not work a lot of the times.
What's an example of one that you didn't like?
Remake wise,
what's the question? Remake of what? Of what?
Kind of a new remake of an old thing.
Oh.
See, like the first Tron movie was okay, and I'm not talking about the 80s. I'm talking about the first remake. This last one was kind of weird.
2009.
Yeah, yeah. This last one was kind of weird. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. The soundtrack was amazing. Nine Inch Nails absolutely killed it. But it was like Jared Leto just playing this kind of like cool AI with like, slight personality hints and like no emotion. And then just this kind of like basis, reused storyline of an AI that wants to become, a real boy, the whole Pinocchio thing. I was just kind of like, I could have, it was cool to watch. And I'm sure it looked awesome in IMAX. I didn't go see it there,
but it's not. But those types of movies these days, they're not edifying. They don't actually leave you feeling like you got anything out of it.
No, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe Hailey Steinfeld would have made it better to Laura.
That's not a bad idea.
I would have definitely gone for that
because she's got talent.
And she was Hawkeye, well, she was not Hawkeye. She was
second generation.
She was all new, all Marvel Hawkeye. But Kate
Sophie
Bishop,
Turner, she's just an odd choice because she doesn't have a great track record.
Yeah. I think Hailey Steinfeld's not a bad choice, and she's got she's got an increasing portfolio now because Sinners was very, very popular. But they couldn't do that with her now because she's pregnant.
Right.
You think they could have just stuck Sydney Sweeney in there and just dyed her hair?
That's the other option. Is like also Lara Croft doesn't demand a whole lot of like depth and acting, right?
Uh-huh.
And Sydney Sweeney doesn't have a lot of depth in her acting, at least not from what I've seen. Granted, I haven't seen Christy yet. I haven't watched the lesbian boxing movie, so maybe she's actually a fantastic actress. But everything that I've seen in it, she kind of looks like she's reading off a cue card, and that's fine. Like, they could do Lara Croft with Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, but maybe we're just like over Sydney Sweeney and everything.
No, absolutely not.
The Housemaid.
I do love Sydney Sweeney. I can't wait for Euphoria. So, but that's
did you see the trailer?
I saw the trailer. I'm so excited.
What are you looking forward to? So if you've watched the other 2 seasons.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 seasons.
What character are you looking forward to the
Jacob
most?
Elordi, probably, definitely.
Okay.
Sydney Sweeney for sure. And I mean, really all of them, because it they all have their different storylines. I mean, Zendaya's amazing in it too. So
she's another one whose star has risen like profusely since that show originally came out. Granted, she was part of the Disney pipeline.
But she couldn't be Lara Croft.
Well,
she
I
have
was
the
gonna
depth
say
that
she got
she's too skinny.
She got all the Spider-Man movies.
On top of being,
yeah.
She got all the Spider-Man movies. She got the Dune movies. That was huge profile-wise.
I'm team Zendaya now because she doesn't seem to complain about like the crowd, about the fans. Tom has a bigger problem with them than she does. He's usually the one that's like, no, get your ass in here, like drags her into the wherever they're going. He has to have think pieces written about him whenever they go out in public, and she's taller than him in high heels.
Oh. And I've seen that. Like, he just stays the same size, and she just progressively changes heights.
I mean, that's better than him putting on lifts just to equal out.
Let's not do that.
Embrace yourself, my friend.
Stay out of the lifts.
Chat, I would like to know what their thoughts are on Tomb Raider, because I'll be honest, like, I love the 2001 movie. That movie has always had a soft spot in my heart at a time. I even like the TV series Relic Hunter with Tia Carrere, which was we were just talking about Wayne's World earlier, which was basically a ripoff of Tomb Raider. But if you're looking for video game accurate costume, what we're looking at here is accurate.
Someone in the chat said Alexandra Daddario. Do you know who that is?
She's
pretty hot. She would have made a good Lara Croft too, I think. And she's got the depth, if you know what I mean.
There you go.
So,
well, I mean, season 1 of True Detective. That's like,
is she in that? Yeah. I didn't see that one.
She was in True Detective. I was actually reading a really funny article. Have you ever seen True Detective?
No.
So I was reading an article earlier where Woody Harrelson was saying that Matthew McConaughey was pissing him off on the set of True Detective because he was method acting and being really annoying. And exactly as like Rust Cole's character would annoy him in the show, it's like, so that's why it works so well, because he was actually making you mad off set, and it was like translating over onto screen. All right, let's move on. So, you know what? One of the scariest things in the world that could possibly ever happen to a person is to get stuck in a taxi cab with somebody who just starts absconding with you and not letting you out of the vehicle. And if there's anybody who you wouldn't want to do it to, it feels like Kiefer Sutherland is the last person. If you've ever seen 24, Jack Bauer is not the guy that you want to piss off.
Honestly, when I saw this article, that's the first thing I thought. I just thought about him saying it in that voice.
Yes.
Like, Mr. President, we have to get you out of here.
Let me out of this car right now,
or I'm going to kill you.
It says law enforcement sources tell TMZ that Kiefer told police he was having dinner with a friend Sunday night. Late in the evening, he called for an Uber Black. The driver arrived. Kiefer jumped in, and they were on their way to Kiefer's home. For some reason, during the drive, Kiefer told the driver to pull over and let him out. It could be one of those cases, they're just trying to bleed you for more money. They're taking the long way around. Is that how Uber still
They
work?
do that in Miami, man.
Yeah,
maybe he just wanted an autograph.
So he said, he asked to be let out. Kiefer told the cops. The driver refused, and Kiefer twice more asked the driver to pull over, to no avail. So at that point, you feel like you're getting kidnapped. Right?
It's an eye for an eye, right?
Right? You're like, okay, I asked this guy to let me out. He's not letting me out. Has anybody seen the movie The Bone Collector?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah. That's what happens at the beginning of the movie. The lady gets home from the airport, or it might have been a guy. Like, gets into this taxi cab at the airport, wakes up, the doors won't open, they can't get out. I think it was a husband and a wife, and then you end up dead at a train track. At a pair of train tracks. You don't want that to happen. At some point, according to the Uber driver, Kiefer threatened to kill him if he didn't pull over. The driver, who called 911, claims that Kiefer assaulted the driver with his hands. As for what triggered the confrontation, it could It could be a language barrier. Law enforcement sources say when cops arrived, the Uber driver who spoke Russian or Armenian requested a translator. See, guys, this is why ICE is necessary. We need somebody to kick out all the Uber drivers who can't speak English.
I mean,
aren't they doing that with truck drivers though now? So
I mean, that's because they can't speak English and then they can't read the signs, and then they end up killing people.
If you're driving in this country, even if you don't speak English, you've still heard "stop the fucking car" multiple times, have you not?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you not know what that means as a driver?
But why would he need him to stop the car?
I mean, he could have.
Does it matter?
Could have been sick.
No.
It's inconsequential. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
like maybe he wanted to get a frickin' ice cream cone. He's Kiefer Sutherland. Who knows? You know. Maybe he wanted to stop for shawarma.
Yeah.
Who has any idea? But the fact that this guy didn't heed his warnings, didn't let him out. My question is with this, it goes on to say that he was arrested for a felony for this, for threatening.
But got out on like $50,000 bail.
Got out on $50,000 bail, right. How many times have we seen in the public people threatening to kill? You see it with ICE agents all the time. People threatening to kill ICE agents
Nothing
publicly.
happens to them.
They're not getting fined $50,000 or getting a felony. So just alone, it makes me wonder if this guy was baiting Kiefer into doing something so that he could pull some kind of bullshit like
now he can sue him for
article
like,
or something.
putting his hands on him.
Yeah,
Now he's
like,
got emotional
he threatened
distress.
me $50,000. You know?
He's like I've got emotional distress, and we're gonna have to settle out of court if we're gonna do that. I mean,
yeah, and I'm pursuing damages. You know, why wouldn't you throw the entire thing at him if you know it's Kiefer Sutherland? You know.
And let's face it, does anybody actually believe that this dude, that Jack Bauer, is gonna spend a day in jail? No, nobody.
No.
Is this one of these pocket fears that people have? Because I was thinking about it. I rewatched The Bone Collector recently, which is why this even came to my mind. And have you ever seen the meme where it's like your parents back in the day, like, don't talk to strangers on the internet and don't get into cars with strangers. Now you call a stranger on the internet to get into a car with a stranger. You use the internet to do that. That's what it is now.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of like. You got to be kind of dumb to be like...
It's blind trust.
Yeah, it is. In a lot
and
of
then
ways.
when it becomes comfortable, you just forget that there was even a barrier there to begin with.
Yeah, or even like think of what happened to. I mean, I don't know what's come out about Kellen and them, but that whole situation.
Yeah.
Like same thing. Like you don't know whether how good of a driver this person is or anything like that. But it really does feel to me like Kiefer Sutherland is going to spend exactly 0 time in jail.
Well, I think just more info is needed. You know?
I mean, he goes back, for what, a 3 to 5 day trial, maybe.
Yeah.
They're not gonna let it last longer than a couple of days because it's high profile.
You know what it feels like with me these days is like there are no actual consequences to when people say that wokeness is dead. I don't think it's dead in the sense that like suddenly everybody stopped becoming annoyingly progressive or like the people that were annoyingly progressive stopped doing so. No, what it is like what you've noticed is just like the outrage mob doesn't actually control someone's fate the way that it used to, at least as far as celebrities. I was watching a video the other day of Ashton Kutcher at like some red carpet event. Well, he faced allegations not that long ago, and it's just like there should be like a new class of publicists whose whole job is like when they get accused of something, whether it's true or not. I'm not speaking about the morality of these celebrities. I'm more speaking to how they should be handling this. This could be great advice for somebody who's not guilty, and this could be horrifyingly bad advice for somebody who is guilty if they for whatever the cause is. But the point is like, don't freak out. Let the news cycle pass. Eventually people will forget about it. Like I remembered that story because my whole job is to talk about this stuff every day. And there's still plenty of stories that we cover where it's just like, I'm like, oh, something happened. Like they did something and I don't remember what it was. Right? Like just let the news cycle through and then eventually it stops and goes away. Yes, no?
Yeah. Well, like this kind of happened with Mickey Rourke too, right?
Yeah.
That whole story where he was getting money for a charity for him as like a charity, and that story kind of just
it went away, and he didn't want the money. He said he didn't want it. He said like I don't want charity from anybody. So, all right, look, I just imagine Kiefer Sutherland screaming at the guy and saying to let me out.
Well, it's like, if Kiefer doesn't have a huge past of felonies to worry about, I don't see it
I think he does have at least one conviction in the past, though I don't remember what it was.
For a felony?
Not a felony, but like probably for like let me look it up actually. Let me go ahead and see if I can find what that was.
Because that really is going to determine, his fate in court. Not even just his status, but like his past too. If this is just his first felony, they're going to slap on the wrist him. Probably like a nice monetary fine beyond 50.
They're going to start putting cameras on Uber drivers like they do the police officers now.
They probably should.
I love that this exists. Kiefer Sutherland's entire arrest record history going back to the 80s.
I feel like he has a mugshot.
Only to be rivaled by Johnny Depp's.
Multiple DUIs.
Okay.
Apparently.
So
Look,
he was probably drunk.
It was Hollywood in the 80s, right? Like
that was my first thing. I'm like, he was probably drunk.
Yeah.
Driving under the influence in 2004. 2007, he was arrested for his 4th DUI. No wonder he's taking an Uber because he probably isn't allowed to drive anymore. Okay,
so
yes.
He should really be grateful.
This is the one that I was thinking of. In 2009, he was arrested and charged with 3rd-degree assault after he headbutted designer Jack McCullough while at an after-party following the Met Gala. Eyewitnesses say that he was really drunk, and accidentally bumped McCullough. They started arguing, and then he just headbutted him. So is headbutting like a uniquely drunk thing to do? Because why would you want to
No, but
yourself?
It kind of fits. Did you ever see the movie Stand By Me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude, like his whole attitude back then, I feel like that partially translates to the kind of guy that he totally seems like he would be like a violent drunk.
Well, they say that like the best, like in pro wrestling, they say that the best wrestlers, the best characters are the ones who are just their own personality, but they like turn it up to 11.
Lost Boys too.
Yes.
He was like almost the same character in both, only in one he was a vampire.
Yeah.
And he was a complete asshole in both movies.
And in this one, he's like, look, the Russians and the Armenians are abducting me. He's like very Jack Bauer. He's going to have to get himself out of there rather than
out of the car or
president
you're dead.
Or get his daughter, played by Alicia Cuthbert, out of there.
Oh, I love her.
Perfect. All right. Look.
Let's let her be Lara Croft.
But what is really going on with these men and these Gen X boomer guys? I mean, you got Daniel Stern, Timothy Busfield. Are they okay?
Let's leave Timothy Busfield out of it because that's like a whole different thing entirely.
They're an aging community.
Yeah, they're just mad men.
Well, no. Like, why are the Gen Xers so mad then? Is because they feel forgotten?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that why?
Definitely.
Like,
a mixture of that and just general life fatigue, maybe.
See, the thing is,
like the rest of us.
If I was a Gen Xer though, because I'm on the cusp of I was born in '86, so
Me too.
I'm a millennial, but I would imagine that most of my
just barely.
But it's like, what would you rather be? Would you rather be Gen X, where nobody remembers you and you get ostensibly like left off of like every list, nobody really ever thinks about you, or do you want to be Gen Z, who gets blamed for like literally everything?
Honestly, as much as I can't stand boomers, I'd rather be a boomer.
Why is that?
Because they're the luckiest generation.
Born into this great economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Sell out everything to
Life
the liberal
was pretty good back
order.
then, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It was hard to find things to complain about.
It might have been fun to be a parent back then.
Oh no! Do you remember? Because it was Gen X that had to deal with like the boomers with the. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
Like literally, your kids were just left out to fend. For
We had to
themselves.
be home when the street lights came on.
Honestly, I think Gen X that's not in the public eye probably is living their life. Honestly.
Think so?
Happy to be.
Well, yeah. If you're not Kiefer Sutherland, and,
right? Exactly.
And apparently take alcohol really, really poorly. All right. There is more stuff to get into today, guys. This is one of those stories that it's got a lot of stuff to it. So I'm going to give you like a breakdown of the general idea here at first. There is a TikTok creator. Her name is Julie Theus. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. And she is a TikTok psychologist. There's been some dubious claims made as to whether she is actually qualified to give psychological advice, but she has been served a cease and desist letter by Hailey and Justin Bieber's lawyer, citing defamation because she's done a series of videos on this lady who believes that basically Justin Bieber is, by her words, abusive to Hailey Bieber because he is a drug addict, and that Hailey Bieber is somehow being this passive observer who's just letting these things happen to her. And she claims that Justin is an abusive drug addict, and the lawyer claims that this is all false. and fabricated. And Hailey allegedly, from what I was told originally, reposted this first video this lady made and then quickly removed the repost. And now Julie, despite getting the cease and desist letter, is refusing to take down any of these videos. Here's the article from page 6. It says, Justin and Hailey Bieber's lawyer have lawyered up against TikToker who claimed that they have an abusive marriage fueled by the singer's alleged drug addiction. The couple's lawyer, Evan Spiegel, sent social media user Julie Theus a cease and desist, claiming that she fabricated her story about the marriage. In the letter obtained by the outlet, Spiegel writes that the psychologist has allegedly spread outrageous, false, and fabricated and defamatory statements that she has disseminated online via TikTok. He also claimed that she manufactured a false defamatory narrative concerning our clients and their marriage that were published and widely disseminated, noting that her conduct is wrongful, highly damaging, actionable, and exposes her to subsequent liability. Now, this is the video that I found, so I want you guys to let me know whether you believe those claims are true. Because remember, in this space, commenting on the lives of public figures is what most of us do. So listen to what she has to say and let me know if you believe that this rises to the claim of what the lawyer is saying. So here we go.
Relationships that we romanticize and congratulate only work because the woman is a tolerant codependent. And when I say tolerant, I mean she tolerates mediocrity, abuse, doing the majority of domestic and emotional labor in exchange for being in a relationship. And that is a contract that I am opting out of. There is no better example than Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber. People wonder how this relationship is still lasting. It is because Hailey is a tolerant, codependent woman. Hailey will never leave Justin. She is a stayer. I know some of y'all love Justin. Justin is an addict. You cannot be a good partner or an equal partner when you are in addiction. And in my opinion, an addicted partner is always an abusive partner. The disease of addiction is too selfish for you to be anything else. But this relationship will work and people romanticize it because Hailey will tolerate that abuse. Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne are another.
She goes on to give other examples, but what do you think? She used the phrase, my opinion, in part of it.
Yeah, she has a right to her opinion. I mean, you're going to have scrutiny if you're in the public eye, so a lot of people are going to have opinions about it. I mean, I want to feel bad for Justin and Hailey. But I don't know that I do. So
wait, why? Like, why is that your instinct?
Because they're just. I mean, I don't know. I think they just get a lot of hate for. I don't know. I think they just get a lot of hate.
So the lawyer went on to demand that she immediately take down the video in question, as well as stop posting that the Biebers are in an abusive relationship. If she doesn't, the couple would have no choice but to protect their rights and remedies against you. The lawyer concludes his letter by reminding her that she acts at her own peril and to govern accordingly. The influencer then took to social media to talk about the cease and desist letter. So let's go ahead and watch her response, and you can let me know if she's playing this correctly.
Foresaw. I received a cease and desist letter from attorneys representing Hailey Bieber in an attempt to intimidate me and silence me. Of course, that's in my opinion, which I am legally allowed to have. What I shared were my opinions. It was a psychological and sociological thought piece on why some relationships last. And being offended by the opinions that I have does not entitle you to erase people's voices. This is so elitist to me. Truly behold the temper tantrums of the rich. And this is how smaller voices are taught to shut up. I think a case like this is really important for all creators to take note of, because opinions, commentary, and even criticism of public figures is protected, and that matters not just for me, but for all of us. Keep in mind, all of this is blowing up because Hailey reposted the video of my thoughts. And then of course she tried to say she didn't, even though that screenshots exist. Now she's sending me a cease and desist on a video she allegedly never saw. Thought pieces are not criminal charges. Opinions aren't illegal just because they're inconvenient to you. But if you need lawyers to survive an opinion, you're not powerful, you're fragile, and I see it. If you want to support me in this, because honestly, I need your support around this discourse, please go watch one of my YouTube videos today. I feel like I will probably need the AdSense. All of this is intimidating. It's meant to be, but I believe in the power of using your voice and not being silenced.
Okay. So I guess the first thing that I can see is like she has this this other video where she basically says like "girl bye" and posts like a picture of herself in
on
bikini.
the beach, yeah.
And so first things first, she's not likable.
Girl, whatever.
She's not likable, and it doesn't seem like she's taking the whole thing seriously. Now that doesn't mean that I think that what I just saw rises to the level of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
If anything, it feels like, maybe this is just me, that they're actually kind of creating a Streisand effect by even addressing it.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted this to die, like, this lady puts out new videos constantly. Just
why give it attention?
Why give it attention?
Yeah. And I mean, I got to be honest. She didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't see anything wrong. Like,
there was nothing wrong with anything that she put out there. It seemed like it was just generally addressing this and comparing it to their situation. Maybe even using it as a bit of a pedestal to get her point across,
which is.
But we've seen the videos of how he seemingly treats Hailey in a lot of public situations.
Yeah,
he closes car doors on her when she's getting out.
He
like
dunked on her when she got her Vogue cover.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, it's just
there's multiple public situations where we've seen her paying insane amounts of attention to him, and him just looking like he's either pissed off or doesn't care one way or the other. And I'm not trying to judge the guy's relationship or his way, towards his wife.
Because it's hard to do that when you're like you only get the snippets of it.
Yeah, and it is hard to judge that based off of just what we've seen publicly, but actions do speak very loudly.
I mean, she is claiming that Justin is abusive.
I mean, but what she said was that an addict in a relationship is always abusive, in my opinion.
That's the part that got me, is because I've actually been in those situations before where I was like the codependent in that situation, where like my girlfriend was a massive alcoholic and insanely abusive in like a lot of different ways. And I was kind of just almost stuck in that situation. So I actually understand entirely what she's pushing, and I can't say that I disagree with her at all.
Do you think that what you see from Hailey and Justin mirrors your experience?
Not directly like that. I mean,
it'd obviously be very different given
their public relationship is very different from the one that we had. We were more like, it was always like smiles on when we were public, but behind the scenes, she was very, very addictive when it came to substances and things like that. It was hard to swear from it, like it was one of those things where she had to be, zonked out of her mind when she came over just to hang out and watch a movie. That was very off-putting to me. And it just never got better, like you always had this kind of like, okay, well, we'll work at this. We'll try to fix this. I did what I could for her. But it always just came back to her, just her destructive. I can't think of the word that I want to use right now to actually describe this, but her tendencies always went back to addiction. It was always that first. It always she'd be clean for like a week and then back off the rocker, missing work, doing stuff like that. Terrible.
It's almost impossible to be in any type of committed relationship when you have such a hard time actually managing your own life.
No, and it sucks being the one who's trying to make that work too. It's insanely hard, especially because like you want it to make it. You want to see these people get better. These are people you care about deeply, maybe more than most people that in your life. So it's that much more devastating to kind of watch that. And to not be able to feel helpless and to not be able to do anything about it, but to still want to stay because you care about that person. That creates this whole just real, not healthy, insanely toxic relationship.
And the hardest part, I guess, for the celebrities in this case is like on top of, and now we're not operating under the premise that anything that we're being said here is true or not, because I can't honestly know, but it does happen, right? And there are plenty of celebrity couples who have very documented issues with addiction and in relationships. And there's the added layer of pressure of being a public figure who then has to worry about how they're being presented to the world every time they go on, out and about on their day. And now one of the best ways to make a living off social media is to take an interest in these types of cases. In this case, this lady her whole channel is about the dark psychology of this or the dark psychology of that. She has one that's the dark psychology of Erica Kirk. She's got one that's like the dark psychology of the Kardashian family. Now, her message itself, like, I don't react well to these types of creators where it just feels very fake to me.
Why do you say that?
There's just something very pretentious and self-absorbed about the way the material is. It could just be me, but it's probably content that's made for women anyways. Like, these types of topics are not designed for men. They tend to be designed for women. Like, when we cover these types of topics on the show, Mary is the one who remembers the ins and outs of the personal lives of these people. Like you said earlier, like Sophie Turner is married to a Jonas Brothers. I'm like, I had no idea. Right?
Yeah, it's not like as a guy, I'm going to go home and kick back with a nice copy of Lifestyles magazine. You know,
exactly.
I'm fascinated by Hailey and Bieber, though. Like, there's been so many rabbit holes I've gone down about their relationship, because like she had met him at a concert, like one of his concerts, when they were like young kids, like they were like super young, and they claim that she like stalked Justin Bieber. And
yes, I watched the whole. We watched the whole video on how she like basically it became manifest destiny. She's like, I'm gonna end up with him no matter
Didn't
what.
most of his fan base stalk him though?
No, but
in some way, shape, or form.
But it's just weird that she ended up marrying him, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you think she ended up marrying him, or he ended up marrying her? That's the question.
That's a good question. I
mean, it does feel more like she ended up marrying him.
Yeah.
And now she's the billionaire. He's the one who had to sell his music catalog.
No,
early.
yeah.
And
she made bank off that whole makeup deal.
Yep.
Hey, and you know, but her family history here is not proving any sort of points of anything, you know, a lot of abuse
being
in
related
the
to the Baldwins can't be good for anybody.
Well, there might be a track record here, is what I'm saying. You know?
I guess when I look at the story, like the messenger matters just as much as the message, and I think that's actually true in most cases when it comes to social media content. Like, I could give you a video I could give you the most informative video in the world. But if you don't take to my presentation the way I deliver information, and certainly that's something I talk about with the chat sometimes. It's like I made the joke, like my favorite days doing this show is like right after being sick because my voice was deeper. And I was like, I just feel like because I just slow down my rate of speech to not lose my voice earlier. And I actually liked those videos better, but it's not natural to me to not talk faster, right? But people, they gravitate to content that they like. And if it's just somebody whose stuff you don't like, you're not gonna take in their message the way you would. Like, this same information could be presented to me by somebody that's less annoying, but I'm still on this lady's side. I don't think what she did was defamation.
Yeah. No, she's I think she's within her boundary rights for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like she was really accusing.
No, and it's hard for me to say that this is defamation too. Like, just because of hearing her general approach to this and the way that she published it, her tone wasn't. It didn't seem like she had intentions of trying to destroy their marriage over it so much as she was just using it as an example and saying, hey, like, this situation is pretty close to what I'm trying to, convey to you guys.
I mean, it's actually almost worse to me because I feel like a lot of times with these types of things, who put up the poll?
I did.
Did you? I was literally about to put up a poll that was going to ask, like, is this case defamation? Since it wouldn't let me, I'm like, what the hell?
Sorry, I can end the poll.
No.
So
end the poll.
What was the poll?
Which generation would you rather be, Gen X or Gen Z? 83% Gen X.
Okay, well,
so
I mean,
I can add that.
That makes. I want you to close that poll, and then I want you to. And I want you to put up the one that says, was the TikTok case a case of defamation? Because I'd be interested to know.
3 producers in the same room, guys.
Yes, that's what happens.
This is what happens.
That's pretty funny.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's do Q to the day. You know what? I think we're gonna do 2 today. Let's see here. All right.
Oh, I misspelled this word. Oh, well.
That's okay. All right, this one here is from Mr. Joe Noonamaker. Says 2-for-1 special. Bella is the white cat. Hank is the cat of color. Is that the appropriate term?
Cat of color?
Can't call it a black cat. Is that not appropriate?
I think it suggests bad luck more than anything.
So there was one time I used to work at a gas station. Like, it was like literally 2 businesses over from my apartment, and so between me and my work was a funeral home. Okay, and I was walking home from one night at dusk, and there was 7 stray black cats walking in a circle at a funeral home. I'm like, I don't think that means anything, but it can't be good.
It still kind of sets off something in the back of your head, though, doesn't it?
I'm like that's an inverted world.
Yeah,
thing, right?
I was gonna say.
Like 7 black cats,
ladder.
7 black cats in a circle in a funeral home just seems like bad luck to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem indicative of anything.
That's something we would probably report on upstairs, and I could definitely see my reaction to that being like, hey, while I don't think this is anything because I'm not superstitious, I'm also gonna cross the fucking street.
It's
not walking
best
past
to be
that,
safe. I have
it's
pattern
weird.
recognition. I know when something bad is coming. I'm not going to allow this to happen to me. So there it is. All right, guys. Again, before we get started with the main topics here, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. The more videos that you like, the more it helps us in the algorithm. So let's talk about Timothy Busfield. This is a story that I have been reporting on now for over a week. He has allegations against him with inappropriate contact, to put it lightly, with a minor on the set of the 2022 series The Cleaning Lady. There was a manhunt for him, as much as you want to call it a manhunt, over the weekend because he had not yet been found. He turned himself in to law enforcement in Albuquerque. I believe it was on Monday. The law enforcement kicked in the door to like his New York home. He wasn't there. He was already turning himself in. He has denied all of these allegations, but now a third claim is being made about him from someone that was a 16-year-old. This was over 25 years ago at the B Street Theater. He has been dropped by his talent agency, which is called Innovative Artists. He turned himself in. He has denied all allegations. He has passed what is called an independent polygraph test. So that will come into play. I mean, that won't even come into play in court because polygraph tests, from what I understand, are not admissible. But this is the story from over at Breitbart. It says, Busfield denied the allegations when interviewed by authorities last fall, asserting that the boy's mother sought revenge after he replaced them on the series. I made a point on Monday to say, like, directors on television shows are basically like school. Their job is literally just to get the show from point A to point B. As far as I know, they do not make casting decisions. They're definitely not on that side of the creative process. So that didn't ring true to me. I could be wrong, but that didn't pass muster. Busfield described the set as a playful environment where he may have picked up and tickled the boys. His quote was, I mean, I'm always around people, right? It would be, you know, in front of the parents. There would never be a weird moment about it, Busfield said. I don't really remember picking those boys up. I remember picking up the boy who followed them. I'd pick him up and he'd be giggling, and that would sort of get him ready to act. He now stands accused of a third claim. The embattled actor, 68, was accused of sexually abusing a 16-year-old girl several years ago in Sacramento, California, by prosecutors in New Mexico in a motion filed on January 14th. Colin Swift, the alleged victim's father, reported the incident to investigators on January 13th, according to the motion, which was filed to request pretrial detention and was obtained by the Post. Busfield has not been charged in connection with the 16-year-old's claim. Quote, while auditioning for Busfield at B Street Theater, the 16-year-old reported that Busfield kissed her and put his hands down her pants and touched her privates, alleged the newly filed motion, adding that the actor, quote, begged the family not to report the incident if he received therapy. Swift, a therapist, allegedly agreed that was the best thing to do at the time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's
not looking good.
It's a matter of like almost, it's beyond parody the way Hollywood feels these days. With these types of cases. Thoughts?
What do you mean?
Just thoughts in general. So, first of all, do you know who he is? Have you seen Field of Dreams?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen, Little Big League.
Little Big League. Mm-hmm.
That's what I remembered him from. A lot of people know him from The West Wing and things like that. But cases going back 25 years. Now, here's the most important thing to point out is that this is all still allegations, and none of this stuff has been proven in a court of law. And the biggest reason I think to be less skeptical about a claim like this is that they went to the cops first and they didn't seek a massive payout for something or write some type of article about it like Amber Heard did. They went to law enforcement and did exactly what you're supposed to do when a crime is committed.
Yeah. And you're talking about the one that just happened.
The most recent. Yes, the most recent one. But that happened
years ago.
I'm talking about the most recent one in general. This one, as for the the ones from 16 years ago, obviously those claims can be considered dubious because you don't know what to believe when somebody comes out of the woodwork 16 years later. I would be more skeptical if there was a civil suit tied to this, but that could be coming down the line.
Yeah.
Well, it's also in an interest too when like you see a single allegation made and then the next few weeks is just all little allegations coming down the pipe from random people that are like, oh yeah, he did that to me when I was 12,
well,
or
sort of
you
like
know, oh yeah, that happened to me when I was 26. I have proof. You know, like it's hard to gauge the seriousness of all of that stuff. Because you wonder how many people are just trying to jump on the Sue Me bandwagon, you know?
Well, it's like the Me Too movement, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
sort of the same trajectory.
That's made, maybe less so. I think people, they have a reflexive need to question it now because of those types of claims. I don't think that is as true with cases against children. I think people are still very willing to just be like, nope, guilty, throw away the key. We have to protect children at all costs. It's coded into our DNA to protect our children, and that they're like, you know,
and not that it shouldn't be, it should be.
No,
but
exactly. And the idea of innocent until proven guilty it goes out the window sometimes when it comes to kids, because a lot of people are like I'm not risking it.
Yeah.
I don't want to think
Hang him now.
that this guy is,
especially if kids are trying to make it in the business, and that like there goes their career, you know.
Well,
they might feel that way.
But how the thing is though, at age 16, a lot of these kids aren't comfortable with coming forward with something like this when this happens. It's embarrassing, you know, as a young kid to have something like this happen and have to go to your parents and say, hey, like, this was like a whole thing, you know, I don't know who to tell. What do we do about this? That kind of, even more than like a polygraph does, you know, kind of proves an allegation pretty damn quick without a trial. Like, hey, like, this kid's not going to lie to me about something like this, you know?
Well, he turned himself in, so
the fact that he tried to weasel around it with like therapy too, that's very, very shady.
There was a warrant out for his arrest, so he wasn't like he had no way out. He was unless he was leaving the country.
The timing was kind of curious on that though, right? Like he hid out for like a week.
Like,
you know,
3 days.
And like, by the time they come for him, he's magically turning himself in.
Well, no, I think the idea is that when he realized that there was an arrest warrant, he got a lawyer. He said that in his videos, like, I got a lawyer, and then turned himself in to prevent anything bad happening. You know, like the last thing you want to do, as we're learning these days, is like you don't want to put yourself in a position where something bad happens during your arrest. Right, so you turn yourself into law enforcement.
Like they throw him into Gen Pop and he gets stabbed with a toothbrush for the allegations alone without a trial.
As a voluntary step, he submitted to an independent polygraph examination regarding those allegations and passed. The Field of Dreams actor turned himself into the Albuquerque Police Department after cops alleged that he engaged in unlawful sexual conduct with 11-year-old twin boys directing the cleaning lady. 11 now, I believe that they were 7 at the time of this going on. That's also a huge age gap between his past alleged victims and current victims, being the other ones being older teenagers.
Yeah, and as boys and girls.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm going to play you the video so that you can see. Or actually, you know what? Let's go over the statement from the theater, because the other thing that I found interesting about it is like the theater had to release a press statement for what happened. So it says, there it is. In a statement, B Street Theater tells TMZ, B Street Theater is aware of a report concerning Timothy Busfield regarding an incident alleged to have occurred at B Street Theater approximately 25 years ago. They continue that B Street Theater retained legal counsel at the time to conduct an internal investigation, and Busfield had not had any role in the organization since 2001. He is not involved in our current operations, staff leadership, or programming. Although he is listed as an emeritus board member, he has not participated in theater governance or attended a board meeting since that time. They added, because this matter is now part of an ongoing investigation related to a separate alleged incident in New Mexico, we are unable to provide further comment at this time. So doing your own internal investigation, that's something that Warner Brothers did when the original show was being made. And as you know, like when these companies run their own internal investigation, that's damage control. It's not actually for the protection of anybody, whether be it child or adult. Their job is to cover their own ass to make sure that they don't face, you know, a mountain of lawsuits and try to prevent things. When cops were looking to get information on this case from them, they took them 3 months to get the information to law enforcement. So clearly, you know, helping the cops wasn't part of their strategy. What they wanted to do was to kick the can down the line and prevent it from.
Well, that's what they're doing with his. That's what they're doing with his plea too, because he entered a plea of no plea.
Yeah.
Like, if you're so sure that this is all lies and bullshit, why aren't you just straight up pleading not guilty and saying, sorry, it's the truth, run with it, do what you have to do? He's obviously, the lawyers and him are working very hard to kind of create some kind of scheme here where he can just scrape by with this stuff. And that tells me that there is some semblance of guilty here.
Yeah. Do you guys, I think a lot about how many, I mean, there's child actors in Hollywood. I've actually heard people say that the most humane use of AI would be to get kids out of Hollywood, and if they had to use AI to create children for movies, that would be better than putting them in danger of evil producers. I mean, as we know, AI, and we're going to talk about this in the follow-up story, can still be used to do horrendous things.
Well, we saw that.
How do you prevent this type of abuse from, you know, that happens to kids in Hollywood?
Well, it's sort of like, what I was going to say is
Keep
like
them
that.
out of Hollywood.
Well, having the Stranger Things AI video that's been going around recently.
Which one is that?
It's like an AI generated video. It shows like all the different. This guy's just like being himself, but it's like the Stranger.
Oh yes, I did see
actors
that.
or whatever. So that's proving the point of like you could use AI for kids. Although I'm against using AI in general at all. I don't know how you prevent it. Maybe you have what do they call it when there's sex scenes? You have a
I mean, if there's kids, there should be none of those.
No. Like when you have adults doing sex scenes, you have someone on set.
Yeah.
What's the name of that position?
Oh, the intimacy
coordinator. Yeah.
So you could have some sort of coordinator job.
They do have that. I mean, there are people whose whole job it is to protect these kids. I don't think it stops predators from getting these kids alone.
Well, then someone else is not doing their job.
Yeah. And you think about it, so we've even had the conversation before, it's like maybe you just don't tell stories involving children. But you mentioned
that's terrible. You can't do that.
You mentioned Stand By Me earlier, which would have been a quintessential part of a lot of people's childhoods, like one of the best examples of a coming of age movie.
Yeah, but those kids might have been like 20. So you can go back to the times where you're casting.
Well, the high school kids are played by
kids.
30-year-olds, and
right.
Well, I mean, River Phoenix, look what Hollywood did to him.
Yeah.
You know. We got to talk about an example of a child actor who didn't make it out of his child days before being put in a casket.
As like a morbid piece of trivia, I sometimes I have two tabs I consistently keep open on Wikipedia. One is like it's the growing number of deaths from speedballs, and he's on that list. And I will sometimes go back and reread the story of his death at the nightclub with Johnny Depp's old nightclub. What was that? The Viper Room.
Yeah.
And you read that story about him, basically going outside and dying on the street in Hollywood, and it's just horrifying. And you think of where he would be today if River Phoenix was still alive.
Yeah, man. He was very up and coming.
I don't know. When we lived in California, and my first son was just 1 year old. He had modeling gigs. I took him on modeling gigs, but it was very much like the parent is in the room no matter what, and you had a ton of all parents in the room regardless of what's going on. So
yeah, they were running the show.
I mean, but if you're going to have actors be in a room that are underage, you're going to need to have coordinators that are going to be there to be like guiding
some
the situation.
Kind of supervision.
I just I'm sick of seeing these types of stories, and there's all sorts of exploitation that comes out of Hollywood, or even what's happened. And I kind of cautioned against people blaming it on Hollywood, but did you see the story about Tyler? What was the actor who with the who's basically being filmed like a zoo animal because of his drug addiction? Tyler Chase.
Yes.
And people were blaming that on Nickelodeon, and I'm like, look, I don't know if that's why he ended up like that, or I don't know if it was his history at Disney. There's plenty of people. Mara Wilson, which I brought up recently. If you don't know who Mara Wilson is, she played Matilda, and she played the girl from Miracle on 34th Street. She also happens to be a cousin of Ben Shapiro, apparently. I learned that after the fact. But she would talk about how she's like, look, I can't discount anybody else's behavior, but I was always protected on set. Nobody ever did anything to me. But there's a lot of examples of times where this has happened, and you have to worry about it. I know Mary had told a story, has told the story before, that she had like she got brought to like a talent scout thing, and they like picked her, and her mom was just like, nope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't know. Depressing.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the parent too.
Oh, and there's this as well. So there was people talking about how the prosecutors don't want to let him out. Like they want this guy to remain in jail until he goes to trial. This is from Lauren Conlon. Says prosecutors want Timothy Busfield to remain in custody until his trial. They argue that no release conditions can protect children or the community. A newly reported allegation also emerged from the filing that a Sacramento therapist told investigators that Busfield, and then they go into the whole thing. So they want to keep him there. They don't want to let him out.
I guess they fear he's a danger to society.
Well, and a lot of people think that if you're a Hollywood celebrity, now granted he's not like a big budget movie star, but it's still more than enough money to, flee the jurisdiction if he was to get out and he wanted to.
And he's married. He's been married for a long time.
He's married to Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie.
Okay.
Who just came out against child sexual abuse not that long ago when she was talking about the Epstein files. And a lot of people were calling out her hypocrisy because she had been on the phone call when Albuquerque law enforcement initially contacted him about all of this. She was on that phone call with them. And after that phone call happened, she was coming out about child exploitation, knowing that her husband had a case going against him.
I think she was trying to get ahead of it.
I mean, that could be what it is. I would imagine that your instinct would be to just to not talk about it at all. Otherwise, lest somebody call you not only a creep but a hypocrite.
I mean, it's possible she just didn't know.
Yeah. No. I don't think so.
I don't think that's
she
possible.
already had the call with law enforcement. She already knew that these allegations were there about her husband.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The timing is sketch to me.
Yep. All right, let's move on, guys. There's more stuff to get into today. Let's talk about Grok. So a couple of weeks ago, I don't know how many people actually saw this when it was going on. I guess it depends on how much time you spend on the internet. But for a couple of weeks, everybody was posting pictures on X, and then somebody would say, Grok, put this person in a bikini, and Grok would do it. But now there are claims that there were images sexualizing children and non-consensual nudity. Elon Musk claims that there is zero evidence of this, but there is now bans going on for X in Indonesia and Malaysia, and an investigation that is being launched in the state of California, which also begs the question. So this was the article from Engadget. Says X says it's changing its policies around Grok's image editing abilities following a multi-week outcry over the chatbot repeatedly being accused of generating sexualized images of children and non-consensual nudity. In an update shared from the safety account on X, the company said that it has implemented technological measures to prevent the Grok account from allowing the editing of images of real people in revealing clothes such as bikinis. The new safeguards, according to X, will apply to all users regardless of whether they pay for Grok or not. XAI is also moving all of Grok's image-generating features behind its subscriber paywall so that non-paying users will no longer be able to create images, and it will geo-block the ability of all users to generate images of real people in bikinis, underwear, and similar attire via the Grok account and Grok and X in regions where it's illegal. So I'm guessing that's what Malaysia and Indonesia would have about that. The company's statement comes hours after the state of California opened an investigation into XAI and Grok over its handling of AI-generated nudity and child exploitation material. A statement from California Attorney General Rob Bonta cited one analysis that found more than half of the 20,000 images generated by XAI between Christmas and New Year's depicted people in minimal clothing, including some of those that appeared to be children. First of all, let's skip the grossness of child exploitation material. What are your thoughts on the idea of somebody just being able to do this to another person? So most people are saying like it's no different than Photoshop. I would argue that it is. The ease of use to do it is like a barrier, right? Yeah. So yes, you could have done this and slapped somebody's head on a photo of another person in a bikini. First of all, that's bound by the idea that you could even make it look convincing, and whether you had the Photoshop skills to do it in general, as opposed to literally giving a command prompt. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, where does it end? I mean, this is the problem with AI in general.
Expand.
Because, I mean, it's just bikinis, but what about everything? You know, it just may not end there. And how is it really going to know when to stop? Mm-hmm. Like, how will it really know if this is a child?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we've talked about this on our show countless times, is where the guidelines and the restrictions need to be put in place when it comes to artificial intelligence. Not just on a military side, but this is ridiculous, you know, like being able to just freely do this.
What do you think those restrictions should be then?
I mean, how much time do we got?
We got time.
Because like there is, and I don't, you know, I've got my general ideas. I'm obviously not an expert in this, but I do know the difference between right and wrong when it comes to a lot of things, as much as I'm sure a lot of you out there do.
But I just don't understand, like, I think it's the wording. Because, okay, so you're like, okay, you can't put me in a bathing suit, but can you put me in a very short shirt? Okay, make it even shorter, and then you can just keep, you know, where's the language? Like, what, you know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
Confusing.
There's got to be layers to it. Like, we're talking about a sophisticated learning program that's set up to do the things that humans can't do, or do the things that humans can do only faster and better, right? And it's exactly like you said before. Doing something like this in Photoshop would have taken like a mastermind at Photoshop to do, and pulling it off and making it look real.
And not even necessarily a mastermind, but somebody who has the time to do it, or they've
somebody's actually who's decently
Yes,
proficient.
yes.
Decently proficient in Photoshop. I wouldn't even say a mastermind. I'm thinking way back in the day when Photoshop started, because it was very intimidating. And if you were good at Photoshop, you were getting paid a shit ton of money to do things for people.
I use Photoshop all the time, and I am not nowhere near an advanced user of Photoshop. I'm a very much of a beginner, and I use it almost every day. And you could just be like, here's a prompt, boom, and it's done.
Yeah, it's become a lot more user friendly in the last like decade. That's for sure. But like, nothing is more user friendly than a program that does something for you at your request.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like you said, it's become way easier to kind of simulate things like this and put them out there, especially in terms of you're just trying to get clicks. It's quick content. Boom, take this person. This person's trending in the news. This person's trending in the news.
So that was kind of more my point, was like before, like it would have been out of the news cycle by the time it was done, or at least, you know, later. Now it's like it's used as a clapback when somebody says something annoying to you online. You just ask Grok to do this, and you have to wonder whether that's, you know, we are in like this path hurtling forward. You can't get around it. The technology. Has anybody ever seen the show Dollhouse? In the show Dollhouse, they have learned how to basically upload. Yes. Yeah. So they learned how to upload a person's consciousness into a computer drive, and they can imprint it onto a blank slate person. They can wipe a person's entire consciousness and state of being and upload the technology, you know, upload another person into another person's body. And the whole theme of the last season is like, the technology has been invented. We cannot uninvent it. There's nothing we can do about it now. How do you deal with the consequences of it?
Well, it's the same like with, I was just thinking like with YouTube. Like YouTube has a ton of restrictions, or at least it used to. Maybe it's gotten a little bit better.
They rolled back a little bit, but not much.
Because like with YouTube, you can't, you know, you used to not be able to talk about COVID-19. You couldn't talk about you know, trans issues, or you couldn't talk about voting or whatever. Like there's certain things you couldn't talk about, or they would demonetize you or take your video down.
Yeah.
So I mean, then this is what's going to happen with AI as well. Or you're going to have to make it like you're going to have all these restrictions, and then it's like, where does it end is what I'm saying. Like, where does it end?
So this was Elon's statement on the matter here. He says, I'm not aware of any naked underage images generated by Grok. Literally zero. Obviously, Grok does not spontaneously generate images. It does so according to user request. Well, he's saying it does so according to user requests.
Doesn't do it on its own without request.
It's not sent. Actually, I think he did say something earlier about we've hit the singularity. I think he actually did tweet that recently. But the point he's making is that it's not doing it of its own volition. It's doing it at the behest of somebody who's requesting it. When asked to generate images, it will refuse to produce anything illegal, as the operating principle for Grok is to obey the law of any given country or state. There may be times where adversarial hacking of Grok prompts does something unexpected. If that happens, we fix the bug immediately.
You're going to just keep having bugs.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that comes with the territory that you're stepping into here. You know? And
also, he has seemed... So he's the guy who talks endlessly about the birth rate crisis, about the crisis of birth rates and how we're below replacement levels. But he's got spicy mode on Grok AI, and you can get your weird sex bots and stuff like that. It seems incongruous with his actual worldview.
I mean, dude, we've talked about on our show, some of you might know out there, if you watch the show, I call them mom pounds, where
what is that?
It's a compound for basically generating test tube babies, for lack of a better thing. They have sort of like AI-driven computer wombs, almost like artificial wombs that they are able to basically grow children in.
Okay.
Based off of whatever traits and whatever. Like Shane calls it picking a designer baby.
Yeah.
Where basically in the future you're going to be able to have kids made. They're already planning for the population to fail. As much as they talk about it now, it's actually in good business for them at this point for the population to fail, so that people start turning to them to repopulate the planet with their own, you know, produced humans, if you want to even call them that at this point. But they're going to be computer grown. They're going to be tailored to learn certain things based off of their heredity look a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be able to be fine-tuned by whoever's paying for it.
I do think spicy mode was like heavily restricted on X.
Someone said it was
so did they? Yeah. So spicy mode is currently limited to the mobile app for Grok Imagine, with some users reporting it has been removed or restricted on desktop and web versions. Check for updates. So again, I don't think that changes my point. My point is that a lot of times the stuff that he promotes seems kind of at odds with, you know, his talk about population collapse and stuff like that. So when are we going to get the designer babies? When is that going to happen?
I think it's already happening. I don't know that they've been put into mass production yet, but they have talked about building these kind of compounds, or mompounds, if you will, so that they can basically just produce humans at them.
That is
so
terrifying.
It's very, very weird. You know, you could disguise it as like, hey, it's a backup option in case the population fails, but really it just seems like a way of cloning people.
It feels to me, honestly, like as the internet takes a greater hold on society, you know those videos where it's like, look how happy everyone is in 1995, and it's like because some kid who was rich brought a video camera to school because nobody could have them, and everybody's making faces at the camera. It does feel like human beings are more isolated than they've ever been, despite the fact that you have instant contact with people all the time. And you see the images of like what it was like hanging out with your friend group in the 2000s as opposed to now, where everybody's just on their phones the whole time. And I know that that's kind of a passé thing to bring up, but it does speak to a sense of social isolation that people feel.
How long have you been skating for?
Since 99.
Okay,
98.
so you remember
Yes.
the early 2000s when it just used to be gang up, go to the skate park.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't go to skate parks. We went to we didn't have skate parks where we were in Minnesota, but we skated street. But yeah,
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah, we had a bunch of street parks out by us because me and Tim were spoiled. We had Chicago, so there were street parks all over the place for you to go to. Plus, we also just hit random street, downtown Chicago, all of that. But the camaraderie of just having 10 of your friends all pile up in 2 cars and go somewhere and just hit the street, you know, for 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever, you know, skating into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting tickets together, going to court together over it.
I've had to do that multiple times. So when they were building the new Twin Stadium, we tried to sneak in and skate at mid structure.
I miss that so much.
And yes, we definitely all ended.
We
up in
broke
court.
into so many places. Oh my god.
No, so here, this is actually one of the funniest things about that is like, there was like 2 types of people. Not to go off on a mini rant. When you get kicked out of places skating, there were some that got combative with either security or law enforcement,
or physically, I'm trying to take your shit from you.
Or I mean, I for one seem to have really good luck most of the time. Now there were times where if you've been trying a trick for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it's like sunken cost fallacy. Now I'm pissed if I'm getting kicked out. But in general, if somebody's kicking me out, I'm like, I am breaking the law.
Yeah.
I am literally on property I'm not supposed to be on, doing like,
my head would go, okay, well, I'll be back.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I never started shit with them because I was like, I knew that first of all, this guy's just doing his job. It's literally, it's like, and most of the time, if I asked for one more try, they would give it to me. They would like very rarely be like, nope, you got to go. But it's like, I'm not going to give this guy a hard time. And same was true with law enforcement for the most part. As long as I was respectful to them, they were
generally
mostly respectful to me. But also, it's the same thing we've talked about off air. It's like, look, I'm not going to risk something bad happening because I want to talk back to this dude. Now, it happened. It usually was correlated to how long I'd been trying to trick. If I'd been at something for like 45 minutes, I was like, you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We knew a lot of cops back in that area, so it was generally somebody that we knew that would come up and just be like, hey, man, you know, we got the call, you know, and they would give us another couple tries even sometimes, you know, like, yeah, just go ahead, give it a couple tries, but all right, you guys got to leave now, you know, like there's nothing we can do about it.
There's also a correlation between whether you were in the city or the suburbs. Suburban cops had less to do, therefore they might take it more seriously. City cops,
they were the ones that would just drive by and stuff. Oh, what's that? And just come back and deliberately try to find out what the hell you were up to. City cops half the time, they either cared or they didn't.
You
if
guys
they didn't,
are
they just drove past.
Geeking out over here.
We got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, I started using Photoshop with Photoshop 6, not CS, just 6. It was so much harder to do things with it back in the day. Now I can literally select something and say, remove it, and it fills the space perfectly. It's faster, but scary. Yeah, all I have to do is like remove background, select subject, and it selects it perfectly, and like feathers the outlines when, you know, so the hair looks decent.
Do you know how many times though I put something to like generate an image in Photoshop and it's like a child and it's like all I said was like it's snowing outside.
Oh, I never ask it to generate it. I just use it to
no,
like.
I do, but I'm just saying.
You use the generative
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what is the? So I've tried it a couple of times. It never showed me anything intelligible. I assumed I just wasn't giving.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It's like AI. It is AI. It's it just depends. I don't know what it's thinking, honestly. Because sometimes I'll just be like, can you just drag this photo out? Because I just need it to be a little bit longer. And then sometimes it makes a random image, and you're like, where did that even come from?
Yeah,
it's awkward. It's weird.
It's but in general, I think Photoshop for the most part was like it took more effort. Therefore, if you wanted to like own somebody online by making like a fake picture of them, you had to actually. I'm thinking of a less exploitative version of it, obviously, but like if you wanted to make that stuff, it took a lot more effort. Back in the day than it does today, which is really scary and really, really depressing.
But you know what, Grok and ChatGPT, you ask it to generate an image, and it's very strange what it comes up with sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, give me an example.
It's like not natural. I don't know. You could just, I don't know. You could just be like, I need a guy that from the 1600s on a horse, and you're like, what does it look like? It just doesn't look right.
The only thing I really use it for is like sometimes if I have like a lower resolution image, I'll ask Grok to up-res the image to give me a clearer version of it. Sometimes it looks good. Other times I'm like, that doesn't look like that person at all.
A lot of times it's not even like human looking. It's just like cartoony.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've got more stuff to get into today. So very, very few things in life are guaranteed. As we know, death, taxes, and the Golden Globes ratings going down, or really all award show ratings going down because nobody cares about traditional media anymore. Access media is generally dead for most people. I don't think they care much about it. And the idea of watching a bunch of rich, out-of-touch celebrities filleting one another while they, virtue signal about whatever is going wrong in the world this day isn't something that generally, at least from what I've observed, interests a whole lot of people. This was from Breitbart. It said the Golden Globe Awards once again tanked in the ratings. This year, the dumb awards show that features celebrities who hate normal people. This has got to be written by John Nolte. Yes, it is. If you don't know who John Nolte is, he's my favorite writer at Breitbart because he takes it over the top every time. So I always appreciate when he writes stuff. I wanted to get him on this show one time, but I guess he doesn't travel. I think he doesn't travel a lot to do podcasts. Maybe now that we do remote shows, I can get him on. See if I can get him on.
Zoom him on.
Okay, so he says featuring dumb people that hate normal people served up ratings even worse than last year, 2025, and even worse than the year before that, 2024. He says, in last year's ratings, 2025, were lower than the previous year's ratings in 2024. So for the third year in a row, the Golden Globes have lost viewers. Only 8.66 million people tuned into the show this year, a drop of 7% compared to last year, which was an abysmal 9.27 million. The funny thing was most of the people online I saw were like, I didn't even know they were going on.
Yeah, me either.
Did you have any? And you're like a movie buff, so you should theoretically actually kind of care about.
Yeah, I should know. And even Chris that day was like, is it Golden Globes tonight? I was like, I thought it already happened. Yeah. Like I literally thought it was the day before. I don't know why I was seeing. Maybe I was seeing footage from the previous year or something.
Do you watch them?
Well, I don't have like cable, so which I've talked about before. We just stream, and you can't stream. It was like on CBS, I guess.
Do we think that's really the main issue, though? Is that most people don't have cable nowadays, so they don't watch just the normally televised thing? Because I mean, it used to be back in the day, my parents would like watch the shit, and it was like I don't know if it was just because it was what was on, or if they actually had influence enough to watch the actors that were on it to see who actually win awards, if they actually cared about the awards that were being won. I don't think that's the case anymore.
It was on CBS, which is not cable. That's right.
No, it was local. It used to be local TV.
So so it was never cable. But also streamed on Paramount Plus.
Well, so you have to have Paramount Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus.
I actually do.
Okay,
Paramount Plus, like if you want to watch like old good action movies, Paramount Plus is like the way to go because they work a lot with They've worked a lot with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I watched Equilibrium over the weekend.
I only have that because it's included with my T-Mobile bill.
Honestly, I think
I don't pay money for that.
But that's what I'm saying. I think you two just needs to get together and get all the
Disney
award
only
shows
ever
on.
gets my money when I want to rewatch Loki from like square one, and then I cancel before the end of the month because I'm just like.
So you actually do that? You like?
Sometimes I re-up just to watch something. Yeah. If I can't buy like the season off of like Apple TV or something like that, like I'm still waiting on them to release Daredevil season 4. Damn it!
Wait, like on like the Disney Plus?
Yeah. So there's I own basically every Marvel movie that's like ever been made at this point. So I don't really have much of a need for that except for their specific shows, which they're not selling.
So Olivia's family has Disney Plus, and like I go back to like rewatch Captain America,
Winter Falcon or Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Falcon, Winter Soldier.
No, not Falcon. Just Winter Soldier the movie, not the TV show. God no.
Yeah.
So just the movie, and then Civil War sometimes. And I actually rewatch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sometimes. I actually think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I love the early seasons when it was actually more episodic. Right before it got
it
into
used
the big
to be
story.
cool. The last major season that I liked that I remember is where Coulson got to be Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I mean that was way later than when
that was still pretty damn good, but then everything kind of after that just got weird. Yeah. But the whole Tahiti thing was fascinating to me.
Well, but that's then it becomes kind of, it's not a mystery box, but it's after after it's revealed, it doesn't have the same weight afterwards. But I love that first season because they were just doing different episodes, traveling around, and I actually really
and they were kind of filling in the little areas in between the main Avenger missions.
And you didn't have to have a deep knowledge of the Marvel movies if you watched it, which is what I appreciated about it. It would help, but it wasn't absolutely necessary, which is the problem people have now is most of Marvel stuff feels like homework. You have to know everything about what's going on. If I have to watch Loki season 2 to watch a movie, it's just, I'm not going to.
No, but that's kind of I feel like the Deadpool movie is kind of where hey, this is a pop quiz. How much of this have you seen in the last 10 years? Because we're going to touch on a little bit of everything. And if you even missed, if you blinked for any of it, you might miss an Easter egg.
You mean in Deadpool and Wolverine?
In all the Deadpool movies, they kind of touch little parts on here, joking about was it the second one where they were joking about the X-Men and it was oh yeah, why can't we get an actual X-Men in here, and then they're all sitting in the room behind you,
and that was they're poking fun at the fact it's have you ever seen the meme that's it's when the world's about to end but it's not your movie, and the guy's just sleeping, the superhero's sleeping because he doesn't have to be there,
because he doesn't have to be, he's not casted for this,
it's not his job.
Yep.
For context, ladies and gentlemen, 20 years ago when Hollywood hid its hatred for normal people better and actually made movies normal people wanted to see, 20 million tuning into the Golden Globes was the norm. Now, as much as I love John Nolte, and I think he's very funny, that is kind of straw-manning the fact that the way we watch entertainment is very different now. 20 years ago, you weren't watching it on streaming. You were watching
Everyone had access to it.
You were watching cable TV.
Everyone was home at 7 o'clock, and it was the only thing that was on TV. We're going to watch this for a little bit because it's entertaining.
Yeah, 2005. So that it's you didn't have, I guess you had AMC. Somebody can tell me when AMC and all the cable networks FX and them came out. But in general, you might have HBO. You might pay extra for HBO, but you kind of still revolved around television. Regular terrestrial television.
Which, let's be honest, this whole thing was really created just so that celebrities could pedestal themselves a little bit more to the kind of lower grade population that is still just dying to look up to them and see what they're doing.
Look, there is still, if stan culture has proved anything to me, it's that there are still weirdos who love celebrities no matter what.
Yeah,
that is still a thing.
Buying
Absolutely.
star maps to try to go find their houses.
Well, I mean, it seems to happen the most. She's oh, you guys don't
not
do that?
surprised.
Oh, you've never done it before? What?
No.
You haven't stalked a celebrity? No, I mean, it seems to happen more with pop musicians. Pop artists get really, really obsessed fans. He is contending with what I said, though. He says, this has nothing, this is him again. This is John Nolte. He says, and this has nothing to do with the internet, streaming, video games, or any other excuses. All of those things were around 20 years ago. Streaming might not have been as big as it is now, but we still had 100 other cable channels to choose from. Please. And I ask, what's the difference between that and streaming? The answer is
nothing was
no
on
difference.
the other 100 channels.
No, but you would also see the advertisement for the Golden Globes. It's happening. It's going to happen. It was it felt like a whole event.
Yeah, don't miss your one chance a year to watch rich people pat themselves on the back for a full night together in cocktail attire.
The only thing I really want is a red carpet and then clips, which the Golden Globes might benefit from that. Just give us the clips the next day.
Yeah. He says, hell, as recently as 2018, 32 million people tuned in. What changed after 2020? The great and fascist awakening happened. Movies and TV became pedantic, divisive, preachy, smug, and anti-human nature, anti-masculinity, gay stuff everywhere, obnoxious girl bosses, woke tartary. I don't know if that's a real word, but maybe that'll end up on the list next year. Get a load of this. Since 2020, the Golden Globes ratings have nosedived from 18.32 million in 2020 to 6.1 million in 2021. There was no show in 2022, 6.3 million in 2023, 9.47 million in 2024, and 9.2 million in 2025. Now just 8.66. I wonder if it would be fair, and maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate
It's
here.
the population decline.
That's what it is.
See?
There's not enough children being born, so they can know.
Aren't we over 8 billion now?
I have no idea. I have no idea what the population is.
Because that would suggest that despite their greatest efforts to convince us otherwise, the population has actually continued to grow steadily.
Yeah.
Like it does every year.
I think it would be fair,
it's 8 billion.
given the way that these numbers are tracked, that it would be fair to include the streaming numbers in this as well. Now, I don't know if there's a way to... You can't trust the streaming services, really, to give you an accurate number. Most of them don't report anyways. Like Disney Plus...
Everyone's analytics are different. It's weird.
They don't give their... Like, they don't give... Like, Disney and Netflix both stopped giving you updates on their subscriber count. Like, it's not about subscriber count anymore.
I think we just need to organize this a little bit better. I think all awards shows should just go to YouTube.
I mean, that's kind of where we're heading. We're heading to either YouTube or Netflix.
Because YouTube
Everything
is getting the
owned
Oscars,
by,
right?
Yes, I believe so.
In like a few years.
But if you look at the amount of sports that are moving to Netflix now as well, I think 25 million people watch the Vikings versus the Lions.
Well, Netflix is grabbing them fights up.
Yep.
They've got those boxing night fights.
They got
MMA
wrestling.
Fights,
They got
stuff like
WWE.
That. They coined WE in. And it's all because they know, even though they're paying top dollar to these people to acquire these licenses for this, they know that it's going to increase their viewership and their subscriction base.
And now they're buying Warner Brothers.
Look at football right now.
Yes.
The playoffs going on. I had to re-up my 30-day, what the hell is it called? Prime account.
Yeah. Well, I keep Prime anyways because of the free shipping on...
I just cancel it, and then like every couple months, I'll just re-up it, and they'll just give me another 30 days for free. So I haven't paid for Prime in like 5 years.
That's nice. That's a good trick.
And then you get free shipping and stuff in the meantime. So you got like 30 days of like, hey, this is awesome.
So you
and then you're like, okay.
when you need to buy stuff around when you
Christmas time
like
in December. You're like, all right, I'll get Prime.
Prime is I will die on this hill that right now, if you want a streaming service that actually provides you a good return on investment, Prime is the best option. I think if you pay it's like $7 or $8, and then you pay the $3 for like the no ads, and that is still so much cheaper than any other streaming service. And the amount of just weird old shit on there that I like to go through and find is great. Like purely for the streaming service, not even for the shipping. Like Amazon Prime is the best of the best. Still has the absolute worst user interface, maybe behind Paramount probably has the worst, but Paramount and Amazon have absolutely awful actual user interfaces. The like the captions on Paramount Plus, basically it's like,
it's not good.
It's like, fuck you. Like I'm like like there isn't even a button to turn them on.
No, and the fact that they have like
says the millennial in the room.
There's like there's two of us. Okay, thank you.
Well, there's three of us.
The fact that they have like interactive ad base now almost makes me kind of jealous.
Yeah.
Because we were just kind of getting into ads for
Pause
our
ads.
show. How it's just like the ad comes up and then there's actually like an interactive box that pops up in the middle of the ad that says, hit your OK button on your remote right now to be taken directly to this area so that you can participate in our advertisers, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. Pause screen ads was also genius.
They're not even making you look it up on your phone anymore. You just snap that picture right off there, the QR code, and boom, you're there. Register, you know, like
it was actually Tubi, I think, did it before Amazon had the pause screen ads. Tubi. Yeah. So that one's worse than the CBS one, which is like do, and they took away the do in the CBS start screen, and it actually caused me physical anxiety when
I will take Tubi over Netflix.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to do that.
See, Netflix allowed you to group accounts though, which was kind of cool because it was like, hey, you still want your friend to be able to use your Netflix account? Well, guess what? We'll give it to you. We're going to charge you an extra $6 a month, which you can then just get from your friend on a monthly and have him pay for it. But we won't even make them pay the full subscription. Just get them registered. We'll give them half the subscription price. We'll charge your account for it. So, like, I've been on my friend's account for, like, 5 years and paying half the price that he is just because I signed up under, like, that whole buddy clause thing.
I like the meme that says, like, when you break up with your girlfriend and you set up a separate account on the Netflix called Settings so that she doesn't realize that it's actually just you still using the streaming service.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
So she actually stumbles into Settings one day and realizes, oh, shit.
She's like me with Paramount, like, desperately looking for the frickin' captions
You
somewhere.
lied to me.
Because I can't watch anything without captions. That's my most Gen Z trait.
Too.
I have to watch everything with captions.
Honestly, I like it.
I
don't
that was
know
a millennial
why.
trait. That's why I said that.
I think people claim that to be a Gen Z thing.
Sometimes it's really just
Mine's
like
'cause
if the
definitely-
volume gets too low or something and someone's like whispering and you're just like, oh, I don't want to go back. So I just have them on. That way, if I'm ever not able to hear what's going on, I can just look at the bottom of the screen and read it.
But first of all, you have to, even if you're blasting the TV for some reason, you cannot understand what these people are saying.
So I watched some of All Fears and I watched Equilibrium the other day. So I watched them out.
Equilibrium's so good.
So in
good.
that movie, the talking is so quiet you can't understand a word he's saying. Then when anything action kicks off, it just
blasting.
explodes.
It's terrible.
So for both of them, I had to, and there was no captions on, so I had to basically like turn the volume up to 55 and bank on my ability to remember when something action oriented was going to happen, so I could hit the mute button to prevent it from doing so. That's awful.
Audio engineers, I blame them.
I mean, I assume it's because it's meant to be watched in surround sound, and you're not watching it in surround sound.
I don't know. Everything should be balanced, no?
Yep. All right. Look, at the end of the article, again, I will always give John Nolte his credit. He says, "We know Hollywood hates us, so we're hating them back by tuning out and finding our entertainment elsewhere. Those elsewhere options were always there. We just didn't feel the need to pull the trigger because until recently, movies and TV still hit the spot."
See, that's making it seem like I have some kind of like vengeful, like I'm really going to stick it to Hollywood by not watching. The only reason I didn't watch is because I just didn't give a shit and I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I just didn't know where it was streaming until it was too late. And
I'm
not going to get CBS streaming.
but like, even if I did, I probably didn't care.
Yeah.
Like even if somebody told me, oh, hey, you're going to watch the Golden Globes? I'm like, no, I got shit to do. I'm going to go play Arc Raiders. Like,
I
care.
I have Paramount. I have Amazon. I used to have Hulu. I don't have Hulu. I'm just trying to save money. Got rid of Hulu and I miss it because a lot of my favorite.
Well,
20th
if you have
Century
Disney,
Fox
you
stuff.
can bring back Hulu now just for a few more bucks. So.
Yeah. So but otherwise, like I'm not like people are like you have to cancel these streaming services because Disney hates you, and I'm like, bro, I don't work that way. Like I don't think that way. Like,
Disney lost me with the ads thing. It's ridiculous now.
I look at entertainment as like it's a transaction. It's like if you make something that I like, I will give you the money for it. Now, most of the time that involves old things, to be fair. It's not always, it's very rarely new stuff these days. Like my favorite TV show that I found in the last 5 years is probably the show High Potential, which is on right now, and I can't watch it because it's Hulu, and Hulu was the one I needed to cancel to save because it was the most expensive that I got the least use out of.
Here's the thing that gets me. What I wonder about because I have the kind of same fixation you have with some of the older stuff is sometimes I just want to watch an old ass movie that's worth like $3, right? But if you look at it from a standpoint of price, you're paying anywhere from $15 to $25 a month for this service, right? To kind of go back in some of these and just watch some older shit. Would it be cheaper for you to just buy all of those movies at $2 or $3 a piece and have them all forever, barring any kind of licensing issues?
Selling them. So there's the thing. They're not selling them for that cheap on these streaming services. You're still paying full price for these movies. Like if you want to buy old seasons of television shows, that's going to cost you just as much now as it would have.
$20 or $30 usually. I'm seeing, depending on how new it is.
Depending on how cheap you are, what you can do, especially out here, there are a lot of flea markets out here where they have like whole bins of movies for $1.
Yep.
And you could rebuild your entire library for a couple $100
yep.
to $300, $400 and own hundreds of movies. But then you have to rip them to a Plex, a server, so that you don't have to put the frickin' DVD in every time you want to watch it. That's my problem. I don't want to
put it in a DVD
That was
player.
annoying. That's why it was like so much easier for me to just find this online somewhere, buy it from some kind of a service like Apple TV or something,
Ad-free
have it
Tubi.
forever, and then back that up to a hard drive just in case they try to pull some license shit. And then
That's
at
what
least
I do.
you own your movies and you have them on a hard drive.
I have an MD server, which I use far more than I use any of those other streaming services.
Because it used to be Pirate Bay and
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It's called ad-free Tubi. Ad-free Tubi is where you sail the high seas.
Pirate Bay, man.
Pippi Longstockings.
All right, let's go to Super Chats then, guys. We got a bunch of stuff. Let's get to a crisis party. We're like halfway there. Come on, guys.
Halfway.
Let's get to it.
It's not good enough.
All right, from Shane H. Wilder says, "Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Alex, and Brandon. Remember, even without Phil in studio, it is always Thrashing Thursday in our hearts." Suppose that is true. It is, in fact.
Phil is thrashing somewhere in Florida right now.
He is right now. Right.
I wish I was thrashing in Florida right now.
Weather-wise, just because of the weather?
Yeah, just because of the weather. Yeah. But speaking of, we should address Inverted World Live before we forget to address Inverted World Live. What's going on?
Go for it.
Well, the truth of the matter is we don't know what's going on. We are sort of on a hiatus, and because we do the show late at night, we don't feel comfortable being here late at night because of everything that's gone down. So Shane is recording from home currently, and we are posting those videos as we get them. And yeah, we just don't know the status of that yet.
I am trying my damnedest to get the show back live nightly, old school call-ins, all that good stuff. I want to bring it back. Not all of us are on board right now with the way that things are going, so we're kind of just waiting out this last kind of period to see what happens. And if the show sticks around, we are trying to move back to our regular schedule, hopefully. Just kind of waiting for that to happen at this point. So we're still in kind of a stagnant holding pattern here.
Yeah, there's really no updates. As soon as we know, you know, and we know the fans want us back. We want to be back. We want to have callers, and that's what we have to say about that.
Not gonna lie, my favorite time to skate that skate park is at like 11 o'clock at night.
While I listen to Invertible Live.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, I actually am primed to come in as soon as like Tim gets done with his morning show and hit that like 2 to like 4 o'clock spot. Is like usually where I'm good, because then that gives me a little bit of time to chill afterwards before the show.
I usually come in on the weekends and like usually if I don't feel like going out the other direction, which is like Frederick into Damascus and stuff like that, I go back this way. So, all right, Pop Culture Junkie says, Brett, seriously on YouTube has a great 51-minute summary of all 4 seasons of Continuum. Worth a watch. I will check it out. I am always looking for more TV retrospectives, because that's how I travel to and from work, is by watching long form. Well, I'm not watching, but I'm listening to long form content on the way to work. Maybe out of the corner of my eye.
So we did admit that last time. I think.
I'm gonna have to look that up, because if you haven't seen Continuum, it was a Canadian sci-fi show starring Rachel Nichols. It was really, really, really good. Everybody should go and check it out. It was fantastic. In a future where the government fails and corporations bail out the government. That's what it's about.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder says, I got the sickness during the holidays. I did a 2025 year in review video, and you can see me pop a 101-degree fever and look paler than Mary. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Being paler than Mary is very impressive.
What happens to Mary when she's sick? Does she get even paler?
She goes
the opposite way.
She gets tan.
Okay.
When Mary gets sick, she gets tan. All right. Got the same one here from Pop Culture Junkie, but thank you. I'm gonna check it out. Shane H. Wilder says, I'm picturing Kiefer yelling, "Stop the effing car." There's a Baskin Robbins, and I must get the president all 31 flavors. Is it still only 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins, or do they have more now?
I don't know. Didn't those guys get arrested and something or
something? All of Baskin Robbins?
Was it Baskin?
Everyone?
Oh no, it was Ben and Jerry's. I'm thinking Ben and Jerry's.
I was like, Baskin and Robbins both got arrested.
You're talking about the initial plot to Ant-Man. That's what you're talking about.
Man Bear Cow TV says, Crisis Party, let's go. Yes, guys, we are getting close there. Let's get it. Greg Duvier says, my sister and I used to watch the award shows until my dad shamed us for watching rich people patting themselves on the back.
Yeah,
we stopped watching.
Nice.
See, but the other way you could look at it is Mary is of the opinion that they all hate going, and that it's basically like an office Christmas party that they don't want to go to anymore.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I feel like some of them still are like excited to see other ones, like you see some people in the crowd hanging out with, all the old people and stuff, like the whole like Matt Damon, core group, Ben Affleck, all that stuff, where they always like get together and they're like, hell yeah, chilling, but
I just watched last weekend on top of Equilibrium and Some of All Fears. I watched Good Will Hunting, which I had not seen in years.
Good.
It was fine.
That's good.
It was fine. I remembered very little of it. You know what the first thing I thought of when I saw it was Stellan Skarsgård looks kind of like Christopher Nolan.
We just watched The Talented Mr. Ripley, which was like 25 years ago, but Matt Damon, Jude Law, hello.
One thing that I learned about Good Will Hunting, and I think I told this on Monday, apparently, first of all, it got distributed by Miramax because Harvey Weinstein was the only one who caught a random gay sex scene that they inserted in the script to see if any of the people who they sent the script out to actually read it. Between Lambo and Will. And Harvey Weinstein was the only one that noticed it. And he's like, what's this about? Like, they thought they were both straight. Like, this is weird. So they went with him because he's the only one who noticed
actually
it.
saw it.
And apparently, in true Harvey Weinstein fashion, was like, I don't think Minnie Driver is hot enough for this role.
Oh my god.
As he was known to do. That was his thing.
That's hilarious.
All right, we are over on Rumble. We got some Rumble rants here from Broody Gambit. Says, Sophie Turner looks fine in the image. Aside from the body figure, she looks a little scrawny. I wish the Vikander one had gotten more sequels, especially with the story arcs following Trinity. I do think that all I remember from that movie was, like, why wasn't Walton Goggins in it more? I felt that way when he ended up in, like, he was in one of the G.I. Joe movies. Granted, he was less known at that time. And if he's going to be in a movie as a bad guy, it should be in his contract that he gets to chew the scenery in every scene, and he should be in at least 60% of the movie.
Okay.
I like him that much.
Did you watch White Lotus? Are you into that?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
you don't watch the cool shows.
I don't watch the cool shows. His status for me comes from Justified.
Okay.
No.
No, I didn't watch that one.
Broody Gambit also says original Top Crow Tomb Raider comics were great, and the finale took place way in the future and revealed Lara drank from the Fountain of Youth and was immortal, so bringing Jolie back could work.
See?
There you go.
Then
you'd have to explain why she doesn't look like her. I guess she could have drank the Fountain of Youth from the Fountain of Youth later, because she's not going to look like she looked like in 2001.
True.
Not to say she doesn't look great for her age. She's Angelina Jolie. She's extremely traditionally, conventionally attractive. But that doesn't mean she looks like 2001.
Well, she
Angelina
could still age, but is not. I don't know.
Well,
I
I mean,
don't know.
if she
Die?
goes down the road that like Dolly Parton and Cher went down.
Yeah, well then she's gonna look kind of like a weird,
No, we don't want that.
like a weird Gaussian painting when you
Yeah,
do
no.
that. All right. See. Shane H. Wilder says, does anybody remember when AMC was American Movie Classics and just Timu Turner classic movies?
Yep.
I did not have cable, so I don't
Yeah.
remember that. I think the one of the first things I watched on AMC was honestly Hell on Wheels. Like, I didn't even watch The Walking Dead outside of like a couple. I watched the first season on Netflix way later, and that was all.
I didn't
really
get into like
watched.
the Fear the Walking Dead stuff. Like when they started to do like post Walking Dead things during Walking Dead, that's kind of where I like fell off.
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Chief Corey Anderson says, why is R-Truth the most entertaining wrestler? Look, that's the better question would be, why did WWE fire him last year and then bring him back after they got a bunch of outcry? The answer is probably TKO, but that's just me. Chief Corey Anderson says, hey, pretty lady who isn't Mary, tell your husband to get you a cat or a baby, your choice. Break the inverted world doesn't need to be filmed at night.
Well, I have 2 babies and a dog and a cat.
There you go.
I was gonna
And
say you
some
already
fish.
have that, right?
I have all those things.
Is he saying get more?
I don't know if I can, but yeah. But what does that have to do with me doing inverted?
I don't
worlds?
know how that equates to you being able to film it during the day.
I read it as is.
Yeah.
I don't actually do inverted world at night anymore. Brandon took my job. He took the job from
Hey,
me.
you gave it to me,
No,
okay?
I did. I'm just kidding.
You messaged me.
Yeah, it's because I have children, so I can't work at night. But yeah, no.
When
yeah.
was that? When did you guys switch? Like
When we started doing the Monday
The
through
Rumble schedule, the
Yeah.
new format. So almost a year ago, was it
I mean,
March, April, maybe?
So you
No,
guys
it
were
was like May, June.
Was it May?
May, June, something like
So you
that.
were talking about wanting to do, like, you guys want to do inverted world early? Like
We were
earlier?
doing early inverted world on Sunday nights,
Uh-huh.
and then when Rumble came into the picture, Tim was like, "You guys should be doing the 10 o'clock slot at night. It's like a perfect hour, and
And you get the lead in from IRL.
you get the
Yep.
the raid from IRL, and they would feature us on the homepage.
Yeah.
But that was a conflict for me, especially because my husband also works for the company, so his scheduling was a conflict, and it was a conflict. So we brought in Brandon, and I still work on Inverted World Live as far as like doing material for it, content for it, but Brandon is in the hot seat.
Chief Corey Anderson says break is military speak for segue. Okay, well, when it's written in transcript, it doesn't look that way. I apologize. There are a lot of times when people will post like quotes from movies or TV shows that I don't grab when they say it because like I'm reading it and not thinking about that movie or that show at that time. All right. Chief Corey Anderson says, now that she isn't here, why is Mary the worst?
Mary
She
is not the worst.
She is not.
Stop hating on Mary. We love Mary.
And if you're wondering why Mary isn't here, guys, as always, as I need to remind everybody 1,000 times, Mary is live on PCC Monday, Wednesday, Friday. She will be back tomorrow. We will be back to our regularly scheduled program. All right. Chief Corey Anderson says, did y'all see, is it Aaron Wexler's? Yeah, Aaron Wexler's pillows on IRL last night. I did see that thumbnail. I also saw.
You mean her depth?
Yes, I also saw after the fact the results on the A/B testing on the thumbnails, and I'm not gonna lie, they weren't as split as I thought they'd be.
Yeah,
it was like 51% to 48. I'm like, that speaks to the intellectual prowess of the IRL audience that it wasn't a far bigger gap between those percentages.
Wait, I was messaging with Jessica last night. Jessica's our art director. She makes the thumbnails, and I was like, I think there's something wrong with the thumbnail. Why is her cleavage in the thumbnail?
It's like, oh no, that was planned.
Yeah, she wanted it. Aaron Wexler wanted it there. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought Tim was just going to be like.
I was like, did we miss this? I was like, what is happening?
Like, I mean, it's funnier if Tim is actually just like, and then does that. But obviously, that's not.
It's not a Tim thing. No.
That is not a Tim thing.
It's not a Tim thing at all.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, I literally picked up The Complete Person of Interest for $10 at a half-price books. It's one of my favorite. It was my favorite score from half-price books. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't think we have half-price books out here. We have a place called Books A Million.
I was gonna say I don't even think we have full-price books out here. Yeah. Where the hell have you even seen a bookstore out here?
$10 is pretty good for if that's 5 seasons of the show, that's pretty good. I am actually in the middle of rewatching season 4 right now. I was correct in my previous assumption that it is by far the weakest season of the show, which runs in contradiction with a lot of people because it's obviously when the show becomes far more serialized. I liked the show more when it was more episodic in seasons 1 and 2 in the first half of season 3 before they started. Back then, they would use like the flashback scenes as a way of interjecting the larger story arc. When it all became the Samaritan story arc in season 4, I felt like it was less interesting at that time. But that's just me. There was a really interesting episode that I rewatched the other day that ended up being even more prophetic than the larger AI storyline, which is there's an episode where they're dealing with this tech company that it's basically a search engine. I love the fake search engines that exist on television because they don't want to put Google on the screen. But in this search engine, it's got a feature where you can ask it questions and it will give you the answer, much like we have with if you want to ask Grok a question now. And in the episode, there's a guy who basically tells the search engine that he's depressed and like might want to end his life, and it tells him to do it.
No.
Which is something that has happened now multiple times.
You have to add that to restrictions.
Yep.
Yeah, that actually we reported on that one of the last shows that I think we did for Inverted was actually an instance where this thing was like encouraging this guy to take his life. Which was crazy. So, yeah, shouldn't be doing that.
Yep. All right. Chief Corey Anderson, yes, break is military speak for segue. Chief Corey Anderson says, Shane's write-up about the Confederate gold should be made into a movie produced by Brett. Super fascinating. Californians should look into it. I'm assuming CAs should look into it. What was that write-up? Do you remember?
Confederate gold?
I remember something like that. Like somebody mentioning something like that. But
yeah, it was a whole story that Shane covered in Georgia. He went to Georgia and did a whole story about it. It's basically season 2 of Inverted World.
What was? Do you remember what the story was?
He goes to find gold in Georgia. It's like it's undiscovered gold in Georgia, and he encounters all these like weird people, witches and whatnot. It's really fascinating. You should check it out.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And I did all the audio background to it. So
what did that entail?
Sound effects, music, all that stuff. Yeah,
right.
To kind of bring it to life. This was before we were like a live show.
Yeah. Did you do you like the live show better than doing like when it was what the format was before?
It's different. It's just a different tool, different skill being used, But I do like the live show. So I'm not in part of the live show anymore. So
when you got a sub for me, you are.
Yeah.
And you slide right back in like you never left.
I do. Well, me and Shane do have good chemistry.
Like I have found that if the goal is to get the information that I want to get across better, and it doesn't even involve editing. Like I like making individual videos because it's easier for me to focus and present the information that I want to present. But I could take the same notes, the same stories, have everything labeled the same way, and it would, if I tried to do it live, like with you guys, it would
Not
never
coming
work
out the
as
same
well.
way.
And I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm doing multiple things at once when we're doing the show. But it's not like I'm doing any editing to those clips. Like, I'm not even cutting out ums and ahs. Most of the time, I will just restart. And that doesn't really happen anymore. Like, usually I get it right away. The only time that doesn't happen is once in a while I'll kind of I will underestimate like what it's like to come here for like 2 hours, research something, and then try to start talking after not talking all morning. Like if I got up at 7 or 8 a.m. and I'm trying to record a video at noon and I haven't said a word out loud yet, I'm like, oh, I have to remember how to speak again. But like when I record videos at home, it's like the easiest thing in the world. But then trying to do it live, it always seems harder to do.
I mean, it's sort of like being a writer-actor.
Yeah.
You got to write.
My thing
the
about
script
it
and-
is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
that's okay.
Do you want to finish what you were saying?
No, go for it.
Okay, sorry. Bad timing on my part. The thing I like about it the most is that, and for most inverts that are out there that are watching right now, you guys know that the chat is usually lit. That's probably the funnest part about doing the live show is being able to kind of jump in the chat. And I bring a lot of witty, sometimes pointless banter to the show while Shane's bringing, the conspiracies and all that stuff. And a lot of the time, just being live, being able to talk to callers, have people calling in about things that we're talking about, and exposing myself to these stories live in the studio. Like some stuff I won't even review before the show because I want to generate my opinion live, because I feel like that's more in the moment, more intuitive, when it comes to like just general thoughts and stuff like that. So that's my favorite part about live. I feel like pre-recorded, you kind of have this like general idea of what you're going to do, and there's nothing to kind of like take you out of that,
Nothing to bounce off of.
Mine's the opposite. Like I usually find that I have a bullet point of notes, and then the weird background details that I want, they come to me as I'm recording it.
Yeah. And I feel like that happens too. Yeah. But like also it's like being able to kind of reference like what people are saying that are watching too. It exposes you to more opinions and more thoughts that maybe you didn't think of prior to the show, depending on how much time you had to review, you know. Kind of exposes you to more different opinions and things you think, you know what, actually this is I kind of agree with this more than, the original thought that I had coming into the show, I like that a lot.
Chief Corey Anderson says, chat, I am doing what I can to get a crisis party. Y'all should help if you can. $2 won't kill you. Yeah, he's
he goes on to define what CAs is. You're gonna love that.
Crisis actors. Okay.
I say that with the most disdain.
He says CA equals crisis actor, Brett. I say that with the most disdain. Well, what do you want me to do? Like I can't read your mind and know exactly
with disdain.
Well, no, there's no such thing as Brett with one T. Those are not real people. Just like communists aren't real people, Bretts with one T are definitely not real people. Anyways, they're just Brents, like, which is almost worse.
Earth to Brent.
Yeah. Broody Gambit over on Rumble says, "Isn't the Confederate gold movie just Sahara?"
I don't know what that means.
Inquiring minds want to know. They would have a question. All right. High Voltage 75 says, that was funny when you had Mary on Inverted World and you turned out the lights during the demon talk. Good prank.
That was actually real. That was not staged. I am swearing here to you people. That was not staged. Literally, the lights went out on Mary's side of the room during her segment. Her kind of,
they just went out.
They just died.
I mean, that stuff's been known to happen
for but not really in our room.
Yeah,
we have our issues. We call them gremlins. We have issues with the board. We have sound issues all the time. People have seen it live. I've fixed it live tons and tons of times. The one thing that hasn't really messed with us up there is we haven't had just random parts of the room stop working, especially when it comes to lighting. And Mary was in the chair for all of maybe 30, 40 minutes, and all of a sudden, just boom, the lights shut off on her side. Enough for us to be like look at each other and be like, what the hell? And then they came back up, and instantly the chat lit up with people that were blaming Ghost Girl.
They thought it was her fault.
They thought Mary did it.
Whenever we had tech issues at the old studio, Shane got blamed. They're like, Shane, it had to be like Shane's energy. Yeah, like Shane has it cursed. So
maybe Shane has spirits following
He doesn't actually touch anything. Yeah. Like, anybody that knows Shane really knows that Shane's not really technological.
He's not, no.
And you know this better than I do, but this is something that I learned about Shane my last year working with him, is he doesn't mess with anything. He barely even wants to mess with his phone, Like, and even that, at best, he's just like, I got to do this, damn it.
So for Shane, it was more, we just assumed it was something to do with like his energy. Cause I remember one time, I think the number one example was when he came in to record an episode of Inverted World, back in the day, in the PCC studio with somebody. Like he recorded an interview with somebody, and then the next day, just nothing worked in the studio.
Oh boy!
And we're like, it was Shane.
I mean, we've had that happen, and people use our studio before we came in and nothing worked.
Oh, there it is.
Put a girl on.
That's new, huh?
A little loud?
Yeah, a little loud.
A little loud.
I'm fine with it.
You good?
It's like a Italian Goomba party over here.
Reminds me of playing a show, how loud everything was in
Yeah.
your ears, which is partially why I think I'm deaf now. I think that's why I like things louder in the mix than most people.
Brett can't hear in one ear, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter to him.
I am deaf in my right ear. That
And
is
ears
correct.
just ripping me out.
Yep. All right. Let me go back up here. Got a couple more here. Thank you guys for the crisis party, by the way. Thank you guys so much.
It looks like we also got rated on Rumble by
Yes.
Critical Realms.
Thank you.
Is that normal?
Thank you. No, not
Okay.
not from I've never seen that channel, but thank you guys so
Cool,
much.
thank you.
So last week, it was just when we were getting back into the habit of things here. There was 2 days where I didn't check the Rumble stream at all. I stayed on the YouTube side until we ended, and we got rated by Cecil, and I was like, damn, I wanted to shout him out.
I always try to keep them both up and like next to each other, not even tab, but just like next to each other,
I
so
don't
that
have
I
a way
can
to-
see both chats.
I can't do that because I have to have OBS open here. There's no. I guess I could have it on.
Yeah,
that screen,
I have OBS on one screen, and then I have another one that plays like our live feed,
Yeah.
so that I can watch the chats kind of side by side.
So I have to have the two here in the same window next to OBS, and then because this one is the capture screen, so I can't put it on there. That one is for when we're doing
Is that the confidence monitor?
that's the one for when we're doing remote. So that monitor moves to here so that I can see them, and then they're like right by the camera.
Yep.
When we're doing it here.
I end up having two confidence monitors, one for Shane, one for up on the wall for guests and anybody else that watches, and then like I mimic that off of the kind of like OBS preview side. So that all encompasses 3 screens, and I've got one extra screen that I'm like, okay, everything else I have to do off of this screen.
Yep.
Producers be producing.
It's tight.
Yep. All right. Chief Corey Anderson says Shane needs to talk about the Sasquatch noises. HS Shane though about cross streaming with Lore Lodge.
What?
Bro, they're just trying to.
We had Lore Lodge on.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was he in studio?
Yeah, he was in the studio.
Yeah, Aiden's
Well,
great.
I think that's his name, right? What is it?
Aiden.
Yeah, Aiden was. Well, okay. So this was during our Sunday shows when audio was never working, and he was here for that show, and it was just a clusterfuck. But it was great having him on. Sorry if I cursed and you guys
Yeah,
like that.
no, it's okay. Corn Pop says $1.99 super dollar. What $1.99 super dollars? Thank you so much. Brian Bledsoe takes issue with my claim that Brett's with one T aren't people. Says Brett the Hitman Hart would like to have a word with you, Brett. Did you see that picture? Brian Bledsoe, did you see that picture the other day that Bret Hart posted where he went to get coffee somewhere and they put bread on there? And somebody sent it to me because I get called bread in the chat all the time. And I was laughing, and I'm like, the only way that he could have been more angry is if they gave a cup to Goldberg and spelled it correctly.
Sometimes people call Shane Sean, and I just don't say anything, and we both just kind of look at each other, and then just like, and then we just let them go on. We don't ever correct anybody.
Whenever I go on other people's podcasts and they inevitably say my last name wrong, I don't correct them. Like, it's fine. Dasovic is perfectly, like, they say Dasovic or Dasovich or something like that. I'm like, perfectly fine. That's what it is.
Like, right off the bat, it would have been like, I think I would have thought it was Dasovich.
Yeah, there you go.
Just because of the way that they do C's.
There's no H there, though. And we're in America.
Yep.
Damn it. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, I called in during the Mary Inverted World with Demon Story. I seen some ish. Good episode. The lights going off was creepy as F.
Yep, that was not staged. No, I'm not yanking your chains. I've
No
seen some of the chats. I'm zero bullshitting going on right now, people. That was not staged. Real power outage on Mary's side of the room. Only happened once.
Daydreamer says $2 because Corey said wasn't going to kill me. He was like, said $2 isn't going to kill me. We'll see. I don't think it will.
I just have a image in my head now of a $2 bill ringing his doorbell with like a gun behind its back.
No, what I think of is like, you get some like crazy unfortunate turn of events where he overdrafts because of the $2, and then he gets a bunch of fees, loses his house, loses his car, and then ends up on the street because he had that $2 charge that put him over on his bank account, and then everything else that comes out is.
I've been there.
Yeah, so have I. All right. ERD Reg says, or is it Reg says Corey guilt tripped us. Yeah, that's okay. We love Corey for that though. Thank you. All right. Chief Corey Anderson says, I posted the Brett the Hitman Hart super chat. Okay.
Awesome.
That was one of the funniest things in the world. The only way it could have been funnier is if the barista gave a Goldberg cup to Goldberg and spelled Goldberg correctly because of how much he hates him. All right, guys, before we go, thank you all so much for joining us today. Would you please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Brandon, where can they find you?
As always, you guys can find me at Brando Inverted on Insta and on X. Thank you so much to Brett for having me back. I had a great time.
Excellent, man. We'll have you back on. So, like, basically now, because we have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Colonel Kurtz is Tuesdays, barring any, schedule changes for her. And then Thursdays are always open. So if you guys want to come back, you can come back.
Hey, I'm down whenever, man.
All right.
Cool.
Where can we find you?
I am Alex Ayala, and you can find me at I am Alex Ayala on X. And it was great to be in the studio.
Thank you so much. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here normally 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. The best thing about that is when our schedule was all messed up, guys, I stopped saying 5 days a week because we weren't going 5 days a week, so I had to start saying normally. We are back, guys. PCC is live 5 days a week. The only thing that we have coming up is, I believe, since I can give the notice now, I believe I will be out of town for something, for a family event on Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and the 24th. But other than that, guys, we will be live always 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you want to listen on audio platforms, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help us out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.